What's up, everybody? It's been a while. Been almost 12 months, which is pretty shit on my behalf. But I've had a crazy busy last 12, 18 months with a whole heap of shit in life, business, all sorts of things. But we're back, and I've got a rack of episodes to put out. We're moving moving from the outdoors specific niche to just everything in general, I guess, everybody that I'm interested in talking to, business, lifestyle, mindset, outdoors as well, obviously, and a heap of other stuff. Combat sports, for those who don't know, like I'm a heavy practitioner in combat sports. I used to fight quite a bit. And yeah, I talked to a fair few high level competitors in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA and all sorts of things. So yeah, there's a fair bit cooking, and I'm going to try and stay more consistent, hopefully. And you'll have to excuse me because I'm sick and I'm coughing like a demon. All right. So this episode, first cab off the rank, is with my good friend Ayden Doumtsis. To be honest, I cannot remember for the life of me what we talked about, but it would be something to do with bow hunting, most likely motivation and mindset stuff. I actually edited this straight after we recorded it, and it was a fair few months ago, so I can't remember, and I'm not sitting there listening to it because I'm pretty sure it's like 2.5, 3 hours long. But anyway, he's a good friend of mine. For those who don't know, look him up on Instagram. He's a very, very high level, highly skilled bow hunter, both him and his brother, and very, very, very close friends of mine. Basically family, very skilled, and I draw a lot of inspiration from both the boys. But this chat's just directly with Ayden, and it's just before he moved away. So we sort of ticked a few boxes and discussed a few things that we wanted to sort of put on the table and talk about, I guess. So without further ado, enjoy this first episode, and hopefully there'll be one out each week from now on. Breathe heavy, eh?
It's my sinuses, they're blocked. It's been a long winter.
It's been a fucking long time since I've done one of these. And I figured this opportunity is probably one of the few I'll get before you go.
I know, it's a bit sad.
I'm sad you're leaving. I'm sad. Greener pastures?
Yeah, I don't know, different pastures, but we'll make the most of it regardless.
Are you keen?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Do you think, like, looking back on sacrificing 5 years of your life for uni to study vet, do you reckon, like, it was a good decision?
Yeah, definitely. I think it taught me a lot, just about, like, working hard despite, like, there's obviously, like, if you said to me what my biggest passions are in life, vet certainly isn't, like, one of them, but I think it can provide me a lot of the, like, branches, I guess, or avenues to living like a good, hardworking life while being able to then truly appreciate what I love doing, which is bow hunting. Like, if you said to me today, like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And like, literally, I would never see anyone again and just go bow hunting, get lost in the woods. Whereas vet, like, whenever I do it, I feel like it grows me as a person. I'm constantly learning. There's so much more to like see and do, and it's just very addictive. Like, you help people. Especially like out on those rural properties, it feels like you actually develop like a real connection with some of those property owners, and you're doing like real honest, like hard work that is very rewarding. And then to be able to mix that up and go back to the clinic for a day or 2 or 3 days, whatever it may be. You work alongside good, like-minded people, see clients, help these animals out. Like, I'm keen for it, because you sort of like get thrown into the deep end a lot with vet. And then you got to rely on your skills to help you tread water and go, all right, what do I think is going on? And then you get through that and you have a moment of clarity, and then you treat the animal, and, you know, things either go well or they don't, I guess. But you give it your best shot, very instinctive, which is pretty cool. So.
Do you think, why do you think you got into vet? Like, obviously, your brother's done his degree, but you'd done a degree and then decided to do vet on top. Obviously, the degree beforehand, was it because you couldn't find work, or you didn't truly enjoy it, or what? Like, what made you? What what paved the road to get you to vet?
Yeah, definitely James. I think having been there and was doing it, and we were chatting all the time, and he was sort of like very like, strong in what he wanted to do and was very passionate about it. And he sort of knew from an early age, whereas my biggest like insight, we never really had pets or anything growing up. Like Dad had rare birds, Australian native birds, and like a big aviary in the backyard, so we would often help with that, like feeding them. Would go around and tap bushes with like a big plastic container and collect like spiders
Bugs
and
and
things
shit.
like that. Yeah, like what I was showing you.
Yeah, you were
fed
doing it with the
Yeah.
fish tank.
Yeah, we'd do that, and then when the birds were nesting, like Dad would go and feed them. But anyway, like that was like our insight into pets, not really like sort of authentic in the sense that like it's not traditional like everyone else's pets, like dogs or whatever. So for us, like our insight into the vet industry actually came when we were out hunting, and we would go, and our way of saying thanks to the property owner was helping them muster cattle for a few days or drafting cattle in the yards. And then a few times we were out in New South Wales hunting, and a local vet came out to the town, which was like an hour and a half drive from the local town. He came out, we spent the day preg testing with him, just chatting in the yards there, like as we were opening gates or vaccinating cattle or whatever it may have been. And I remember that just stuck with me, where I was like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? And he's like, oh, I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And he just told me, and I'm like, oh, where's that? And he's like, oh, 3 hours away. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And like, I just remember having a conversation with this guy as we're doing stuff with cattle, like he was preg testing and whatever. But it just sounded like nothing was stagnant. He was always like going somewhere new. And I remember that resonated with me a lot, because I was like, oh, you must see some cool places. Like we were in central New South Wales there, but then he was driving 3 hours north, and like the next day might have been somewhere else, and then the next day he's in the clinic. And that always had like a big resonance with me, as to like it'd be cool to just travel and like work and then get hunting properties through that, and then like basically work to make a living and do all these things and like challenge yourself, but then be able to somehow complement it with the hunting side of things. And I think with the NT, it'll be a pretty good opportunity with like doing a lot of preg testing on remote properties, and then as you go and get professional and do your work and stuff, and obviously build a relationship like that way first, eventually maybe be able to like knock off work if you do it early and they're loading trucks or something, spend the next like afternoon or something doing like a hunt, or go flick for fishing rod with barra or something like that. Like just, keep it a bit different. That would be pretty cool. But definitely, to answer your question, I guess James was a massive, like he basically,
influence.
I remember I was working at the time. I just finished like the other degree, and I was working, and James would be like, mate, you need to come and do this. You need to come and do this. You need to come and do this. And I remember just like getting to a point where I was like, this is good. I'm enjoying myself, enjoying my life now. I was playing footy in Victoria, like going to gym, working, like had relationships and whatever down there in terms of like family, friends, footies, all that, mates and stuff. And just thought, I'm kind of ready for a bit of a change. And just, I was like, I think the best thing for me in 10 years will be if I do vet. And it wasn't necessarily like I was turning down money and a salary at the time. And I was just, and the last thing I wanted to do was go back and study, because I just done it, and I don't love study. Like it's something I see as a means to an end, and it's necessary, but I don't sit there and wake up in the morning going, oh, hell yeah, I've got to sit in lectures for 10 hours and then do 4 hours of study or something. Like it's not, it's it's not my ideal cup of tea sort of thing. But
do you think, can you explain, and I'm pretty sure there is a connection, so your love of bow hunting and the outdoors, and how does that directly correlate? Like you obviously formed a connection between it and vet work. The contrast is that vet work is obviously preserving or maintaining life, and bow hunting is essentially taking life.
Yeah.
How does that directly, how do you form the connection between the two?
It's actually funny, because everyone says that, like preserving life with vet, and that's probably 50% of the job, in my opinion. But when you go in, which I wasn't aware of, I thought, it's all vaccinating puppies and, go out and do a horse dental, and then you go out and do a bit of preg testing, and there you're sort of like, that's your day. But when you're actually behind the scenes, go and work a day in like a vet clinic or for a company, or follow a vet around or whatever, 50% of the job easily, like in terms of ratio, it's 50-50, would be, preserving life. And then the other side is as humanely and comfortably as possible, I think, knowing when that animal has lived a good life and actually performing something that's like very, it's hard because you've obviously got the animal's best interests and welfare that you're trying to manage, and ethically, like trying to do that. And ethically, you're trying to say to an owner in the nice way, like, look, your dog is 15, it's had a good life, you've done all the best things for it by vaccinating it, giving it tick prevention, blah, 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 over that 15 years. Now is actually the time where it might be necessary, where we actually like put this animal to sleep, and, you know, because otherwise it's going to be ongoing suffering, and you've never made it suffer for a day in its life. And having that conversation is like extremely like important, but it's also difficult. And I think like it's amazing. Like I remember like the first few days I worked in a clinic for placements over 4th and 5th year was just the sheer amount of animals that unfortunately do get put down, whether it's like being hit by a car and they can't get onto the owners or something like that, and then the son calls and says, oh yeah, it's my dog, what's going on? And it's like just something that's traumatic like that. Or where someone's brought in their 15-year-old pet and they want to be there for the final moments, and it's very calm and peaceful and relaxed, and they're leaning on you as someone that's saying, yeah, this is the right thing. So it's like, and then to link that back to bow hunting, I think there's like an onus as hunters to ethically put that animal's life above any of our like emotions as such. And like we're very lustful often as hunters. We want to shoot the biggest deer. We want to shoot the biggest buffalo. We want to, you know, like do all these things. And often it's like under that, there's also like get meat for your family. There's often have an adventure, go out with mates, enjoy yourself. But at the forefront of all those things should be the animal's best interests. And like every time you let go of an arrow or pull the trigger, you should be aiming to end that animal's life with the most ethically humane, whatever you want to say, shot. So I think that's where like it links a little bit to vet for me personally, is knowing that there's a lot of power in the actions that we take, and it might not necessarily be seen as like a beautiful thing or whatever that is, but there's a lot of like peace in death in a weird way. And like, sometimes you could vaccinate an animal and be their treatment option for a vet for their whole life. But the best thing you can do is be there emotionally and supportive and like make the right decision when that animal needs to be euthanized. And that owner will remember that one moment more than the last 15 years of service. And like that's often the case with like bow hunting. It's like that. So do you think like bow hunting has given you perspective as a vet to make better, or maybe not better, but more educated decisions or more rational decisions? Do you think bow hunting has assisted that? Maybe vice versa too? Yeah, I think just being rational and sort of, we talk about this a lot with like our mindsets and how we see the world, I guess. And bow hunting, like I remember seeing things that most kids would associate as being traumatic, like a snake eating a baby bird from a nest, and most kids would go like, oh, that's terrible, like how like, you know, things like that, or watching a wedge-tailed eagle pick up a chital fawn and fly off with it and then drop it onto the rocks and go and scoop it up again. Like these things that like a lot of society, even adults, would go like, oh, that's crazy, fucked. Like that, you know, should we be exposing our people to that? It's like from an early age I saw what is actually out there, and then in the same aspect saw an eagle's dropping a chital fawn from a 10-story building sort of height. An arrow through the heart or lungs is so tranquil in the same sense. So or dying of like fucking disease, like anything. Those old animals die a fucking brutal death. Like 100%. They like say deer, for instance, like no teeth. Getting flogged up by younger stags, things like that. No teeth, not being able to eat, and dying of starvation. That's a fuck way to die. Oh, for sure. And winters and things like that. Like it's not. I also think like regardless of what your upbringing is, I feel like that's a necessity to understand, because it's probably like one of the most truest, rawest forms of living. Like for you to live, something must die. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the perspective, like I feel like that
needs to be drilled into people, and people need to understand that regardless of your situation. You could be a city slicker your whole life and only see cityscapes till the day you die, but I feel like you need to understand that stuff.
100%. And that's where like it's people get a bit delusional in the sense that like they're happy to take their kids to the zoo where they'll go and teach them about a lion, and the lion being the most noble of things, but they don't say like, oh, in order for this lion to live at the zoo, we've got to kill XYZ cows or whatever they're feeding it just to feed this lion. It's 10 kilos of mince at the end of the day or whatever, which happens naturally. Like, I'm not having to go at the zoo or anything, but it's just like, in order for certain things to live and be prosperous and survive and have like a good lifestyle, like a dingo, for example, has to kill X amount of kangaroos, has to scavenge off X amount of roadkill things. Like, there's a circle of life for a reason, and often you do need like hunting and things like that. And I think it's incredibly, not everyone's built or made out for it or whatever, or doesn't like it. But there's a reason, I think, why so many like mature aged like hunters, men and women, are coming back into it, because they're going, oh, I actually have lost a connection between my food, or I've sort of, feel like me accomplishing something is sitting at a computer or doing something on a weekend, or, like, whereas it's like to sometimes just go out and completely immerse yourself and have one clear goal of, hey, if I go and successfully take an animal ethically, I can feed myself and my family for 6 months. It's like extremely rewarding on the back of that as well. I
think like that one of the points where you and I connect so well is we look deeper into things. So I don't know. Let's say vegans, vegetarians, for example. I'm not trying to start a fight. It's just an easy example for me to make. Is like, you're obviously not like, as a vegan, let's say, because it's like probably more extreme than a vegetarian. Let's say I'm trying to eliminate, like, I'm talking on the extreme sense, I'm trying to eliminate my negative impact on life, animals, say. And that's well and good, but if you're a vegan and you drive a car, you've adversely affected animals, you know what I mean? Like, let's talk fossil fuels, mining. Like, you fuel for your car, fossil fuels, mining is digging holes and fucking clearing land and all that shit, which affects animals. Bitumen roads affect, like, clearing areas for bitumen roads, like things like that. I feel like regardless of how much you want to, and reducing it, I respect that, that's fine, but I think you can never truly eliminate to live, something must die, I think is a really like broad term, and it goes down to like the most minute detail of everyday life, especially for humans. I think there's no human on earth that doesn't adversely affect another living thing in some way.
No, absolutely. And I think like we've almost got it too good as like a human race at the moment, where there's so much like outlooking in general in society where someone does one thing and thinks that gives them an opinion and entitlement to then tell someone else that they're doing something wrong. And it's like, unless that directly adversely affects you as a human on a human to human level, it's like, it's sort of like people that tend to do that. I don't know if they've got too much time on their hands, but I genuinely can't think of like another group of people that I care enough about that it affects me, what they're doing. Like, there's certain things, if someone says like, oh, I want to ban bow hunting, it's like that directly affects me and what I'm doing. Whereas I don't see veganism or vegetarianism as someone that stops me from hunting. So it's not like, oh, I need to go and actively talk bad about them or anything like that. It's literally just, if that's what your choice is in life, go and do it.
I think
if hunting, for example, is my choice in life, when there are so many clear benefits, there's negatives. Like, an odd animal does get wounded and lost, but to very simply like justify that, you could say that happens in the natural world. Now, whether that's correct or wrong, you could debate that for years, but it's like, why is there a debate? Because it's like, I could say that you could ride a bike to work every year and never hit one animal and have one roadkill, just say. Because one animal's died if you drive a car and you hit it, like whatever. Like, is it necessary? Maybe not. But why do we have to always, like, unless it's something that directly like actually impacts you on a human to human level, I feel like it's almost like, and probably social media has given everyone a platform to preach and look outwards rather than focus on their own lives and go, hey, do I want to be, and again, I'm not harping on vegans or vegetarians or whatever, like good on them. But to say like, like to look inwards and say, without this, would I be like outwardly attacking someone for doing something that doesn't really affect me that much? Like, if they really love animals, go and donate money to a certain cause. Like,
I think the problem with all that is like, I think most, say, vegans, vegetarians, and I think most bow hunters or hunters in general would be the same. So like most hunters that are there for the right reasons, that are there for purpose, and most vegetarians and vegans that do what they do for purpose don't want to adversely affect either party. Like, that's just,
they're content with their own, like, I
think they're focused on making a difference in a good way, and I think they get drowned out on both sides.
By 5%.
By the 5%ers that are louder, you know, and that do go to social media, that do go to mainstream media, that are the louder voice, pushing the point and trying to stomp on other opinions and stuff.
It's that same thing where, like, I could pick out an image from the internet and be like, anyone that drives a car is terrible. They kill wildlife. Or, you know, people that drive cars are terrible. They're always drunk, because you just post one photo of a drunk driver who's done all this mayhem on a Saturday night. It's the same as bow hunting. There's always going to be that one image of someone that shoots something and it gets away like a kangaroo with a field point that everyone else that hunts and does it properly, the other 99% of hunters out there that actually call themselves like an ethical hunter, say that's an absolute no-go. Like, you shoot something with a broadhead and not native wildlife, and like, it's just very easy to distinguish that if you're in the know. Whereas I could, there's certain things that I could post a photo of someone doing something that's wrong into a group of where and like cause angst and turmoil if I wanted to, but it's like, what's the point when naturally, hopefully, the other 99% of people know that that's not the case. Like, not everyone's a drunk driver.
No. And I think it's educated opinion too. Like, a lot of people have, I think most opinions are uneducated. Yeah. I think people sit on one side of the fence, very few sit on the middle and take in both sides and make a decision.
Yeah.
And I think that's, and most voice comes from the far left or the far right, and rather than those guys that do sit on the fence, because they are there, they just don't get heard, I suppose. It's interesting. Swinging back to your study and all that sort of stuff, you basically, sacrifice is a wrong choice of word, because there were sacrifices within the process, but I feel like the decision was correct. So let's just use sacrifice. Sacrificing 5 years of your life to achieve what you did, was it worth it? And was it explain the struggle?
Yeah, 100%. It was definitely worth it. Again, I look back like cumulatively over the whole 5 years, and it was probably the best 5 years of my life. So to say it's a struggle and sacrifice and stuff probably isn't accurate. But there's definitely times where within that, there's a mountain or a hurdle that you've got to get over, and you just acknowledge that. And that's been my sort of philosophy the whole time. And I'm not the most studious person. I just know that for me, my strength was, if we had a scheduled on lecture from 8 till 5, Monday to Friday, I'd go to every single lecture, because it meant that I was a step above anyone that didn't go to every lecture for that week.
Yep.
And then when it came to, if I didn't know content well enough, or if I had a test coming up or quizzes or a tutorial or pracs and things, I'd read the prac notes and know that I would make the most of that scheduled prac time. So for me, being constant and physically there and like doing things as they came and being like within the actual degree held me in good stead, because by the time it came to like being quizzed on things, it wasn't like, oh shit, I missed that lecture. So that was like my agreement to myself, was like, if I have, and obviously like there was times I might have gone out on a weeknight, cheap Tuesday or something in first year or second year, like as you do, have a bit of fun, whatever.
Yeah.
And you might miss some Wednesday lectures, but you catch them up Wednesday night, even if you're feeling shit and over it, and you know, like you just cop it up. They were like, that was my agreement with myself, was miss a lecture, make up a lecture, but just don't miss a lecture in the first place, and it will hold you in good stead. And that's sort of like carries on with my everyday life, where it's like if I'm working, I don't have sick days because I don't. There's how much you're actually sick, like legitimately sick, to miss that day. Like it's almost like you got to break a leg or something that's pretty severe, unless you're going to put others out by getting them sick.
Yeah.
But there's certain things you can persevere through, which is made probably, and maybe being mature, like a mature age student, having done like previous study, and that held me in good stead and like made things a bit easier.
Yeah.
But also like I was very easily able to rationalize like, all right, Monday to Friday, I'm going 8 till 5 uni, 5 till 6, I'm going to gym, going for a 20-minute 5K run with my dog because I feel bad otherwise if I don't take him for a run.
Yep.
Get home, have dinner, and then from 7 till 10 the week before an exam, I'm studying every night or something like that.
Yep.
And then Saturday or Sunday, if the weather's good, I'm going diving one day, even if the exam's next Monday. And then the following day, I'm studying all day in the library. Whereas some people would go, oh no, I'm too busy to do anything, I need to study. And they'll sit there on their phone and they're studying till 2 a.m. Like often my bedtime was 10 p.m.
Yep.
And that included me being active, going to gym, doing things, seeing you, going out for dinners, whatever, studying, but not being overkill. And like I picked when I felt good about certain things. By no means was I like the bloody highest in my class, but by no means was I the worst in my class. Like I was just a good average student, but also would say that I had one of the best work-life balances by far. I think I agree 100% with that, because like I see things where I see it in two ways. So one is I don't negotiate with myself. When I have to do something, I don't have that negotiation. So let's say I'm going to get up early, I'm going to go for a run. I'll set my alarm and I'll wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to go, I trained hard last night, because I do train nearly every night, most nights, and I trained hard last night, I won't go for a run or whatever because of that. I don't have those discussions, and I think that's discipline. But also I think discipline is, in like a full flip of it, is like knowing when to apply it and when to not. So like if I'm going to edit, I won't edit when I'm super tired because my edit will be shit. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, I don't know, I've got a heap of other shit going on too, and I can't edit well enough, like, and meet my own standards / the client's standards. I think discipline to know your limits, and discipline for discipline's sake as well.
I think it's just being aware of the like having the reality to go like, okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is what I need to achieve. Will I achieve this by doing this or not doing this? And like not going, oh, okay, no, I want to go out and I know it's going to throw me out for the rest of the week. So there's like short-term like sacrifices is what I'd say was the most like sort of like, sorry, I'm not articulating it very well. There were a lot of
that's me every episode.
There were a lot of short-term sacrifices in vet, but I don't look at doing vet as a sacrifice.
Yeah.
In general, like there might have been I really want to go to that party, but I can't go because I've got to do this. Or I really want to go hunting this weekend, but I can't go because I've got a group assignment due. And even though I've done my part, I've got 5 other people that are going to be sending me messages about their part, asking me questions of how does my part correspond to theirs, and this and this. And like that's my thing. I was always trying to be proactive with group assignments and get it done early, because then there's less stress and I can then go diving for a day. But it was just hard to go hunting because you lose service and people are trying to contact you. And I feel guilty being a team part player to be away. Whereas rightfully so, I could have, because I'd done my part and submitted it or whatever. But it's just, they're the sort of little sacrifices that in the grand scheme of things, it's just things that you do every day for anything, not even vet related. Like, and a lot of it's just creating habits, like what you were saying earlier about the discipline. Yeah. And like not negotiating with yourself, like, oh, I trained hard last night, I won't go for a run. It's like, no, I trained hard last night so that tomorrow's run's going to be fucking easy when I go and smash it out. And that's like the mindset. 4th year for us was our hardest by far, where we had, I can't remember how many lectures per like 6 months. And it was just full on like every day, 8 till 5, and then like quizzes every week, every Monday. And everyone just like basically, and it was during COVID too, which didn't help because we couldn't really do anything. which for me worked. I turned into a bit of like a hermit in the sense of like not being like playing games or doing random shit like that. It wasn't productive for me, but like smashed out editing, smashed out dinners with close friends, smashed out personal fitness, personal like motivation development, all that sort of stuff. And as I said, was like training regularly, running regularly, just doing things that I could control like in my immediate basket. And then I found that by doing those things as my release from uni, it allowed me to like enter uni and study and stuff for every quiz on every Monday.
With a good mindset.
With like a super productive mindset.
Yeah.
Like I've had my play, I've gone to gym for the day or whatever. Whereas some people like, oh, I'm doing so many lectures, I can't be bothered training. And then, 3 weeks later, I'm feeling shit because I'm a bit overweight, but I can't be fucked going to gym because now I'm overweight and I don't look good in my yoga pants or whatever. Like whatever someone might think. But it's like they don't realize that just rocking up that day is like the biggest starter. Like just start, and then once you start, don't stop. Just there's going to be days where you don't feel like doing the biggest gym session or whatever, or jit session because your shoulder's a bit buggered, but just go and skip for a half an hour or do something that keeps that habit going. It's like, it sounds funny, but I don't know if I talked about this on this podcast with you or with James or someone, but it might have been James. He asked me like, when did you just start making your bed every day? Because like there were days that like it's a good habit obviously, but I remember listening to a podcast years ago, and there was obviously, we'd lived together, James and I, and there must have been some mornings where I was running out of the house late or something to uni or whatever, and my bed was like half made, like, blanket flicked back across the bed, but not pillows matched up perfectly or whatever. And then a few months or a year ago or whatever, James was like, when you start making your bed do you always make your bed? And I can't remember what he said, but it was basically, I was like, and we spoke about it, and I was like, I just heard a podcast that said literally the first thing you do is like start your day by being productive and just making your bed, and then everything else falls into line because it's just you start with this habit that just gets you on like a positive. It's not like you're getting out of bed and then you got to crawl to the coffee machine and do whatever. It's just start by getting up and like winning that one job, and then that one job is like, okay, what's next? And then it's like this and this, and I don't know, it like resonated with me a little bit. And it's such a nothingness. Like I'm not saying make your bed or don't make your bed or whatever.
I agree 100%. I fucking hate making beds. I think it's
See, I love it now.
I respectfully disagree. I think it's a fucking pointless exercise. But I used to literally think, because I don't wriggle or move. Yeah. When I jump into bed, I literally sleep in the exact same spot. I literally crawl out, and then I'm like, that concave of my body is literally how I'm going to fall asleep tonight, and I'm not going to move. And like, whereas James, like from memory, used to just fucking kick and flip shit everywhere, and his bed with pillows were on the floor and stuff. Whereas me, it's like I could literally just worm back into that spot, and it's the same. So that's probably why I like thought, no, I'll just leave it. Yeah. But now it's like ingrained in me, like, nah, just do it. Like, in like the grand scheme of it all, like I've got a very similar habit. So mine, and like I've said to you, is sunlight. So like I wake up, roll out of bed straight away. I don't lay around. There's one fucking critical piece of thing, like just sloshing around there, like just get the fuck out of bed, man. And then that's the start of it. Like get up, go to the toilet, whatever. I go and make my greens, which is just, I don't know, green. I don't know. People know what that is, surely. And then go straight out.
Your vegan diet.
My vegan diet. Prime Bollocks, shout out. Heard you legend. Make my greens up and go straight outside and get sunlight. And I normally just like walk around the yard, or go and check. I've got like a beehive down the back. I'll go and check that and like just get sunlight. And I'm just in like shorts, no shirt, whatever. Get sunlight. There's actual health benefits from it, like clinical health benefits from it, but it's more just to get me up and moving and developing that habit. And I feel heaps better, like more productive during the day. And I don't know if it probably is partially placebo, partially sunlight thing, partially what I was saying about not having a coffee as soon as you get up, having it like an hour later. I'm way more productive through the day, and I don't get that arvo crash. And I think it's a very similar thing to what you're saying. Like it sets your mind right from the start. It sets your mind right for the day.
And that's
like on track.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny because I've got a few things I want to talk about that relate to this. But like that's where, like, for me, that bed, it's not necessarily about making the bed, but just say that I get up and I brush my teeth and then I look back and I'm like, oh, that bed's not made. I'll just slide back in for 10 minutes and be a lazy fuck. And, like, the bed's made. You can't go back. It's done. You've ticked that off, move forward now. It's the same as, like, you getting up, going outside for a walk, checking the beehive, getting a bit of a tan, fucking enjoying the sun, because it keeps you probably off your phone for 10 minutes.
It does.
And gets you a bit of clarity and, like, oh, the birds are fucking calling. It's a nice day, whatever. Like, just little things that you, like, implement that are beneficial. And you feel... I was literally just went through final exams, like, the last month or so, and I implemented literally the first thing I'd do was roll out of bed, walk outside, say hello to the dogs, and literally just sit there and look at, like, towards the sunshine for 15 minutes. And that was, like, massive for me, because the next 12 hours of the day I was virtually inside studying for exams or at the gym or going for a run. Like, they were my releases. But for the large part of 12 hours for a month or so, you're just literally sitting there looking at a laptop with headphones in, just studying.
Yeah.
And it's just debilitating zombie-like behavior where you come out of it, like, knowing so much, but you're like, fuck, did that actually do it? I actually learn that much? Like, it's just a weird... Exams, like, a weird thing.
Yeah.
But for 15 minutes in the morning, you have this nice clarity where you go outside and you're like, oh, okay, life will be fine after this. Like, it's weird.
I feel like that balance thing's a key. So, like, people say they balance their lifestyle, right? And I think most people balance it, I'm not going to say the wrong way because I don't have the fucking education, but, like, you work a day-to-day job, like a 9 to 5 job, and you'll get home and you'll say, all right, I've worked a fucking busted ass, long ass day. I'm going to crack a couple of beers. I'm going to sit down and watch TV. I feel like that is not a balance. And I feel like it's not, like, at the time, at that very point in time, it feels good. But I feel like long term, it sets you up for disaster. And it sets you up to be stuck in, like, a cycle of, like, nothingness, you know what I mean? Like, whereas if you go, oh yeah, I worked my 9 to 5, and then I'm going to go, oh, I'll take like, it could be the most basic thing. I'll take the dog for a walk, or I'll go and I'm a chippy or a plumber. I'm fucking sore. I'm gonna stretch. I'm gonna sit in my lounge room and have a stretch. I might watch TV, but I'll stretch. Like, it's a productive rest, like a active recovery, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, why not do something like that? That's a better balance of time, I think.
Yeah.
Or like, have it, like, literally, like, I think a better thing to do in that situation would be to get home and have a fucking nap for 20 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever, and then get up and do something productive.
It's hard because I feel like not everyone has, like, meaningful hobbies, and not saying that, like, bow hunting is the most superior hobby out there. It could be painting, but, like, just go and do it. Don't create excuses like, oh no, it would be a good time to start painting tonight because that's what I want to do, but oh, I don't want to open up a new paintbrush set or something. Like, people just have hobbies but then create obstacles in there and then they resort to this superficial, easy, and that's probably the key word, is, like, easy alternative, where they're like, oh no, I'm tired from work. I'm just going to go and sit on the couch and watch an episode of TV. And then an episode of TV becomes 4 episodes, and then you have a shit night's sleep because you don't switch off before bed. And then you're tired the next day and you're going, oh, fuck, I really want to watch that episode again because it was so good. Because that's 4 hours of your day is spent watching a fucking episode of shit something. And, like, I do it at times. Like, there's certain series that I love watching, or a movie that inspires me or whatever. But it's, like, it's not every day. It's not like what I look forward to in the day. It's like I make sure that there's things in the day that I look forward to that are going to benefit me to no end, that I know are, like, measurable.
Yeah.
Like, did that benefit me in terms of today and tomorrow, separate me, or build blocks for tomorrow to get better person? Like, yes or no. And if it's a no, it's like, okay, I need to find something that will.
And what's your take on that whole train? What is your take on discipline? What is Ayden Doumtsis' definition of discipline? Do you think, like,
what do you define discipline as?
Yeah.
Like, what do you?
So let's say David Goggins, right?
You're big on Goggins. I'm like, I know of Goggins, but I'm not that, like.
I'm a fan of some of the things he does and says. I'm not a fan of the whole, because he's fucking basically physically destroyed his body. That sounds fucking
I forget
wet.
that it's a podcast and you guys can't see what I'm doing, but just sipping. Shout out to my boy Snoop Dogg
For his 19 Crimes fucking collab wine.
Beautiful.
It's actually
beautiful,
not bad.
Great blend. I don't know what you even say. I don't drink very much, but it's a beautiful wine. Thank you.
Taste of plum and raisin.
Sorry, I interrupted the whole thing. It's Goggins.
Oh, Goggins. I agree with a lot of his mindset stuff. I disagree with, like, he's like extreme one way. So, which is what the example I'm trying to make. So he's like, runs like fucking stupid amount of miles a day, does ultra marathons. Look him up anyway. David Goggins. So he's like the extreme, and he's like every single motherfucking day is just going hard grinding, physically demanding, brutal shit, which becomes mentally demanding because you're trying to fight your own brain. Your brain's telling you to stop, and you're pushing yourself physically through all of that shit. And his knee's fucked and his foot's fucked and all sorts of stuff. Versus someone that's like, say, let's say, I don't know, a monk for one, I don't know, let's just say a monk who is training martial arts to some degree, but also meditates and maybe stretches and maybe has times of peace and doing absolutely fucking nothing. Where do you sit in that?
Yeah, I don't know. I have like an aspect that I want to touch on there though, because I see it differently, but I think discipline for me is just a way that, like, how am I going to be disciplined to get better tomorrow?
Do you think it's
better than I am? I think discipline is just having like a criteria that you try and tick off to be better gradually. Because like for me, I have issues with Goggins because I used to always see him like jump up on my thing and be like, hey, fucker, get fucking hard. Why aren't you running fucking 50 Ks, blah, blah, blah. But everyone forgets, or Goggins maybe forgets.
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't, obviously. But that's like he's trying to put that out there, but that's also his job. So it's like, it'd be like for me going out there next year and be like, g'day, fuckers, go and protest 500 cows. You're a pussy. Like, work those arms. Not everyone has the avenue to not work and go and punch 500 bums for the day. Whereas next year I should be able to do that. Like it's because I think he doesn't obviously forget it, but people would see that video and go, fuck, like why aren't I like him? But he came from somewhere where he was fucking morbidly obese. Yeah. So he obviously never had that mindset the whole time, which is where I look at it and go, I get what you're saying and I get the extremist version of it, but it wasn't always there, which I think is important that he talks about more what happened, what little ignition spark changed him from being, without putting it fucking too rudely, a fat fucker that just was, he said, had no hope in the world and was just fucking like morbidly obese, probably close to death. Like, to now someone that motivates others in whatever way he does. Like, and he is motivating. Like, the shit he does is incredible. It might not, like, I personally like look at someone more like Joe Rogan, for example, who's like, what motivates me is that he's got like 15 different things on his plate at any one given time, but never misses like a sauna session or never misses like an ice cryotherapy session. But then he's also going to go in and do his fucking gorilla barbell training while podcasting 6 dudes. And like that shit, I go, he's like true to himself. So is Goggins, but like, I'm less of that extremist Goggins style, whereas some people probably see that and go, that's fucking sick, I'm going to do that. Yeah. Whereas my discipline is like, find where you want to be and work out what you can do tomorrow to start getting there. Yeah. Like, that's my idea of discipline in that sense is like, do something today that will benefit you tomorrow. Yeah.
Be better every day.
And there's times where you're not always going to be the most disciplined, but fucking hold yourself accountable. Like, there's days where I won't go to gym because I'll go to a party and I want to go to the pre-drinks early or something. Or there's a sporting event and I'm like, I could go to gym, but I've got mixed netball. Like, this is uni comical bullshit. Yeah. Like, it's not going to be part of my life moving forward. But at the time, you're like, do you think I wanted to play netball with fucking a group of girls and a couple of my mates? Like, looking back, it was fun, but it's like, and I'm glad I did it, but like moving forward, it's like, would I have been better off going to gym? I don't know. Like, I had mates from it and stuff like that. Like, you do it for a reason, but I've sort of like lost my train of thought as to what I was trying to say. Yeah. But like, there's certain things where it's like, I don't know. It's tricky where you do it and you're like, oh, I don't know if this is benefiting me as much as if I had just gone and done gym or something else.
Yeah. I think it's like I think it's balance is like probably a key word in the whole thing. So Goggins, for example, just because for me, he's the most extreme person I know that's on that side. So his mindset and how he dug himself out of the hole and how he faces his demons and how he mentally approaches shit, I respect immensely. The physical torture that he puts his body through to test his mental, I don't particularly agree with, because I feel like there's no longevity in that, like life-wise. So there's a bit of that I take that I quite like, but there's also a bit of all the way across the scale down to the monk where they take time to reflect, and I'm probably fucking doing them a disservice because I have absolutely no idea of
appreciation of exactly what they're doing.
I have absolutely no idea, but I'm just using them. That's probably not the right choice of words, but like the period of sitting and doing nothing.
Tranquil, sort of.
Yeah,
they're doing a different
self-reflection and just sitting and doing nothing and just sitting with nothing, doing nothing, reflecting on yourself, on your decisions, on things like that. Like I do that and respect that a lot as well. So I think like life is like a balance, because I could get up and I could edit every fucking day, all day, but most of those edits are going to be shit because I haven't prepared my mind in the right way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like
I found that difficult with uni, where uni was like requiring me to be super analytical. This is your clinical signs of what's a dog that's just eaten rat bait.
Yeah.
It's got it's hemorrhaging, it's got epistaxis, like bleeding from its nose, it's this, and this, it's pale, it's tremoring, it's seizing, it's all this. What are you going to do? And like you have to be yes, no, black, white.
Yeah.
Have an answer. Whereas editing is like a flow, like literally flow state.
Yeah.
It's like very like what you're feeling. You hear something and you're like that resonates with me. I'm going this direction. And then, but this scene, I want to feel this. So you pick in that song and you're editing and like it's like a shorter breath moment. You're like bang, bang, bang. You add in a few beats or something like, you know, and then you add in some different audio and ambience and you're creating this big picture. Like to go from uni during the day, 8 till 5, as I said, and then try and edit for 2 hours and be productive because I'm doing something for Twin Elements or whatever, and working with James was like fucking like mind-blowingly difficult. And that's where, like, to be honest, the best thing for me at times was to have Instagram go off for 6 months, where I just, you know, I'd check in and see what people were doing and go, oh, awesome work, mate. Like or comment, sick photo. Like you'd see something yourself posted, Adrian Tuck, all these guys that like, I remember Adrian was doing like starscapes and stuff at the time and bird photography, and we'd chat about it. Like he'd be taking photos of kingfishers and I'd see that and that would inspire me. And I'd go, fuck, I miss doing that. Yeah. Like I need to go out this weekend and like just create time where I go down to the local wetlands and take photos for an hour instead of going to gym maybe that day. Yeah. And like do that. But me physically sitting there and writing up a pretty little Instagram caption and posting a picture after being at uni all day was like incomprehensibly like difficult. Like I literally, and Instagram obviously is like an algorithm where you, to get out to your followers and stuff, you want to obviously be posting regularly and doing all this stuff. Like, well, that's what Instagram dictates. But for me, I was just like not having any of it. And I decided that it was beneficial for me in terms of having like a bit more of a tranquil lifestyle of just not using it. And it was weird. Like, and then there's other times you're like, oh, I'll post every day. You're engaging with everyone. You're chatting heaps. And then you're like, fuck, I've just spent 3 hours on Instagram. And it's good, but it's also like 3 hours you could have been doing other stuff. So it's like, where is that balance? And it all comes back to like, what are you trying to get out of doing something? Like, what's more important than something else? Like for me, it's like you with your jits and, you know, that sort of stuff. It's like for me, my going to gym and a run with my dog was like healing. Like, it was strenuous. And at times I was like, fuck, I'm going to have a heart attack and die when running with him. But like you'd get home and be like, oh, that was all right. And then I'd always time it just to have a bit of like reflection as to what pace I was running and go, oh, fuck, like 18 minutes, 5Ks, like, fuck, that's pretty good. But I want to try and beat that tomorrow. Yeah. Like, or I'm going to have a quieter day tomorrow, but make sure I do it in less than 19 minutes and recover. but keep that habit going.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not a fucking good runner. Like, I'm not good at anything except for bow hunting, really, in my opinion.
Yep.
But it's like managing yourself and like having little goals and like, yeah, as you said, don't negotiate and be disciplined. Like, yeah, all these little things just contribute to you being
I think that
better.
Yeah, I think that accountability side of it, which is what you're talking about at the end, I think that's a key point, like accountability, because if you don't, like you can do what you do, you can do your 5K runs and you can do your gym and stuff, but how do you get better tomorrow? And that's accountability for what you did the day of or the day before or the months before or the years before. And I think accountability is like key to everything. Because I think I made this example with you when we were driving out hunting the other day. It was like I got to a point where I'm like, I see a guy walking down or a person walking down the street in a wacky outfit. And I'm like, oh, look at that fucking dickhead. Like, why are you, look at the idiot wearing that shit. Like, instead of going, oh, like he could possibly be the nicest guy in the world. You know what I mean? And he likes what he wears and it makes him happy. So shut your damn fucking mouth.
Yeah, I remember when you told me that. And I was like, fuck, that's why I think we get on so well, is because I genuinely like meet people and just something about them, they can be what society deems them to be as a loser or like that fucking weird guy, you know, like weirdo, fucking random coloured shirts and shit like that, you know, society generally, like there's people that it's a stigma, but people like outcasts or someone, and I'm like, I kind of want to befriend them and like fucking, you know, lift people up around me. And there's this like, society in general is so quick to fucking do like that little comment, like you said, look at this fucking weirdo. But to have that reflection and go, why the fuck did I just say that? Like, who is that benefiting? It's not benefiting me. If he heard me, it would make him feel shit. But people don't have that reflection and analysis. And I think that's what we talked about it with like a number of different other things, like way more serious than like just, you know, what we're talking about now. But I think being able to internally think and go like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Is what I'm thinking acceptable, not acceptable for me, acceptable for, or not acceptable for like society, acceptable, or like, does it just sit well with me? Like, it doesn't even have to be like a yes, no. It can be like, you know, there's certain things that it's like, why? It's just a simple, why am I saying that? Or why am I thinking that? Why am I thinking I'm going to not, and to bring it back to like exercise or whatever, but why am I thinking I'm not going to go to jits because I'm a bit sore? It's like, why don't I just go and do it? And maybe I don't compromise by doing it, but I compromise by going at 75%. And I know that I'm 75% better off than if I didn't go or whatever. Like,
or you hold yourself accountable as well and go, you're sore, motherfucker, because you forgot or didn't or were too lazy to stretch that night. That's why you're sore. So you have no excuse not to go back and then stretch tonight. Like, and it's about pulling yourself up instead of. I think people play the defensive card way too much and like the victim card way too much on themselves and force blame on other people instead of looking within. I think that's like a key point in the whole thing. And like I think accountability is key to self-development long term, I think across the board.
Yeah, I think there's levels to that which society doesn't actually groom in like
most people don't, I don't think.
But like, you think about all these things where like people are just given things in general and sitting there doing nothing. And then that encourages just not poor behaviour, but, you know, unmotivated behaviour where people are
I think it's
not seeking to get better because it doesn't actually help them. Like they get taxed more or they do this. And it's like there's so many things like that in society where the only benefit is internally, like you almost, it's... I
think it's emotion-based behaviour too, like it's how you feel right now. So you go and act upon that emotion.
Yeah, I feel shit, so I'm going to go eat a tub of ice cream, which makes you feel worse. But you're like, oh, I need to wallow in it today.
And then fucking you do that every day for 3 years and then you're a fat fuck.
Yeah, it's fucking...
And then you blame everyone else because you're a fat fuck and then you expect...
It's not that easy, no. Like, it's like there's,
This is my issue.
Things. And it's like just... It's funny you say that because, like, there's times where with uni last year, it sounds so funny, but we did that nude calendar for uni. Great time anyway. Vets Uncovered if you
got the biggest set of balls I've ever seen. Like they looked like elephantitis.
Yeah, I was lifting. Attaching them to barbells and shit. No, fuck. Jeez, we talk some shit. But that kept me deadly accountable because I was freshly out of a relationship and was like motivated to just get ripped. And it coincided with what I was doing. Like, so yeah, going to gym and running worked perfectly with the timeline of me just wanting to do that myself because I loved it and felt good for doing it, and it got me outside, and my dog loved it for running and whatever. But it also directly correlated with like the end result of this calendar, which was like perfect. But
oh, you're right.
I don't know either.
Fuck yeah.
We got room service.
We got room service. Beers dropped off.
Thanks very much.
Wine.
Sorry.
It like all
Thank you.
coincided with basically like just the overshadowing goal was get fit for this calendar. I've got X amount of days, whatever, but it also complemented my lifestyle every day perfectly. And like there were times where it was just like, oh, I've trained so hard, like I've been fit, active and stuff, like I'm gonna go and just eat an ice cream or buy a packet of chips or whatever. And then fortunately at the time I didn't do it. I was like, no, I don't actually need it. Or like me and James, we have this thing where we love Nesquik, chalky milk.
Fuck, man, I have not eaten that since I was like 10, I swear.
We love it. And I don't know, James will have one and it makes me want one. I'm like, fuck, like it must be this twin rivalry thing. Like he's having it, so I've got to have it because it's fucking primal instinct.
But you motherfuckers drink so much milk.
I only drink milk and coffees pretty much.
James drinks like a lot.
He drinks milk
man.
by itself, which is fucking weird.
Hectic.
Results from like something as a
I would
child.
I would piss out my ass for like
I don't know, it's
liters.
weird.
Of it.
He
It's
drinks
gross.
milk by itself. Like
Yeah.
people that do that scare me a little bit. It's like they're a 12-year-old man-child thing. But
He is a man-child.
yeah, I just the very easy decision was like, am I actually hungry? No, I'm not actually hungry. Will me eating it actually benefit me that much? Like, will I be like, oh, fuck, that's delicious? And the answer was no. After about 2 weeks of not eating like sugary shit, I genuinely felt the most observant, brightest. My uni marks were the best. And this is going back in fourth year where it was the hardest year by far.
Yeah.
Like my uni marks were the best. Physically, I felt the best. My relationships with people felt the best. Like all these sorts of things just were like ticking it off. And people go, what was it? And it certainly wasn't more hours spent in the day doing anything. Like I still had a good sleep pattern and stuff. It was literally just like probably cutting out shit foods, which change your emotional response to things, and prioritizing like things that I found important, which that short-term sacrifice was like study.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to study. So I'd go and smash it out so that I could then go and do editing or gym or whatever. Like it all sounds very basic. And I look back at fourth year and go, fuck, what did I actually do that was that much fun? And I go, not that much. Like my release was literally gym, going out for dinner with mates. Like I saw you a little bit. But aside from that, I really prioritized like diving. As I said, it was probably the most I dived in uni because I was like, I've got an exam next week. I'm going to study these days and make sure that I've got enough time off and put all the work in to then have Friday off and go diving if the weather's good. If the weather's not good, I'll study, smash that exam, and then next week I'm going to have the opportunity to go diving on the Friday because I'm putting the work in. Like that was just my non-negotiables as to how I'd approach it. And I look back and go, fuck, I didn't even dive that much, but it was still the most I dived in uni.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think if you lock in those the two things, I reckon it's fucking carbohydrates, as in like filthy carbs like breads and shit. I reckon that is fucking detrimental to diets and mental.
Yeah, and sugars are massive.
Yeah, sugars.
Like
sugars
I cut out
huge.
sugars in like coffees and stuff.
I don't even want them anymore.
No.
Like I don't
and
like
snacks,
sweet food.
Like snacks, you have like, excuse me, like another thing that helped me heaps, which I don't know, but was literally going, okay, what like I love good food and cooking. Like we do it. We cook here, like here,
Heaps.
and have awesome food. Like we just prepared all this venison that's going to be like slow cooks, like all this different stuff, tacos, whatever. We like both love food, but I found that like for me, the best thing to optimize my day was doing a massive meal prep on a Sunday where I might cook 3 meals.
Yep.
And then if I had time on a Thursday or whatever, like a random chance in the week, I'd cook another big meal. Like I'm talking like 20 meals out of one pot sort of thing, but healthy food. Like it might be a satay, venison satay, it might be a chicken satay, it might be bolognese, it might be sausage rolls, it might be a stir fry, it might be whatever.
Yeah.
Like it could be anything.
Home cooked shit, like
Literally.
not just
and then some
filth.
Yeah. And then I would portion that up into meals for lunch and dinner. So like I was never having like a sandwich for lunch. Like I personally, as you're saying, like maybe that it is those carbs, but like I was literally having like brown rice or white rice, didn't really matter to me, but not much. And then a lot more topping of like the actual good stuff that I'd made, which was like generally quite protein rich and good veggies and stuff. And I'd portion that up, and that was literally what I ate for lunch. And whether I was hungry or not, like I made it so that it was the same amount every day.
Yep.
It was a different meal, but the exact same containers, the exact same amount. And after fucking a week or two, my body was like, this is me running on prime. Like, and it was stupid because I was talking to like mates who, again, I keep bringing it back to gym, but it was just like, and I'm not by any means a gym junkie,
it's just
but
relevant
like I was
to
training
life.
like fucking hard, like putting all my physical effort in the day into gym basically. And seeing like results, feeling good, like would go to bed and just like, if I'd been to gym, would sleep like a fucking log, like go to bed straight away. If I hadn't been to gym, it was like I was anxious, like what the fuck's going on? Like I've got so much energy, what's going, like I need to go and get this energy out. Like it's just weird. Like your body grew to love it. And loved the challenge and the stress because it was like, okay, now I can relax. Like,
and when you don't have it, like me, like if I don't train, like I train,
you get bored almost.
I think I get like agitated.
Yeah.
I turn into a fuckhead. Hey,
like agitated.
I am. But I get to a point where I'm just like on edge the whole time, and shit just pisses me off if I don't train, like way more. And I think like what you're saying, like non-negotiable things, right? So your gym and your run, they're things you do. You don't even think. You don't even have a conversation with yourself, which I think
like
is
timetabled. That was the thing. It's like
you just put your shoes on and you go running. You don't think about it. You just run.
Do you think part of it's like I just thought of it then is organisation? Because you're an organised person. I know that. Like you multitask, manage multiple businesses, jobs, whatever.
Yep.
I feel like I'm organised. Like I have, calendars, things to do, diet, like all this sort of stuff, like ready to go. Like for example, Twin Elements scheduling posts and blah, blah, blah. So I know that they're out every day at this time. It doesn't allow me to like engage with people as much as I would have liked, but I know that it's consistent getting out 100%. There, and it means I can do it in one day when I have the chance and schedule for a month or two, rather than have to jump on at 6 p.m. at every time when I could be going to gym or having a dinner or a relationship with someone else that's like actually more important to me. So that's why like I do it in one day, smash it out, and then it's done, but it's consistent, it's organised. Like I think being organised, having a timetable, it doesn't have to be like fucking... You've just got to be realistic and accountable with yourself as to what works with you. And like for me, I'm not an early person, so like I would often study and stuff, but 10 p.m. for me was like a uni night was like a late night, and then 6 for me is I can go hunting and wake up at fucking 2 a.m. and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Uni, it's like 6 a.m. is my general like wake up. Whereas for you, you're like stupid. You're a night owl. Like you love waking up early. Like that's just what works for you.
Yeah.
But there's some people like they might, like some people I know with uni was good because you like go talk to so many people and everyone's so different. Some people thrive, some people don't. Some people do the same thing and thrive. Some people do the same thing and are completely different. One's like they're doing great at uni and the rest of their life is a shambles, everything's on fire. Other people, they're doing great at uni and they're doing the exact same thing as that other person in terms of like when they go to bed and whatever, but their life is great, like social life's great, relationships, like playing sports, doing whatever, like they're just multifactorial, interesting sort of things are going on. And maybe that's me being judgy, but I generally find that people that are like happier doing things, have hobbies, doing all this stuff. They're not just going home to watch TV.
No, they have diversity in their life.
Yeah.
And I think organisation like is key to everything too, and it's just little things. So like I'm big on 1%ers, and I fucking was. We've literally had this podcast a week ago.
Yeah.
But I think 1%ers are key. So like, if I'm going to run in the morning, which I do, I will that night before I go to bed, I put my shoes out. I put jocks, shorts, and socks out. And then when I get up, I walk out. They're right in front of me.
Yeah.
I walk out, go to the toilet, wash my face, put my shoes on, put my socks, shoes on, jocks, shorts, obviously whatever order you fucking want.
Yeah.
And then walk out the door and run. And that is it. Like I don't go, oh fuck, I don't feel like running, or it's
already done. It's
maybe
like a
I'll
waste
run a
of
bit
time
later.
unpacking it. Like it, yeah.
Yeah. Force yourself to just. I get out and I'm on the road and I've started, and I normally do like the first K pretty cruisy just to fucking get warm, and I'm like, by the time you start that, it's too late. You're already running, man. So you might as well fucking finish it.
See, I agree with all that.
Yeah.
I wonder if people are listening to this going like, you guys are fucking weird, anal motherfuckers, because I literally like, and I'm assuming it's similar with you, going, all right, today's Saturday, tomorrow I'm doing this, this, and this. It would be beneficial if I do it in this order and go via there first, because it saves that time, and then I can meet him at there and do this. And like the day before the day started, I've planned it often like last week.
Yeah.
But it's all in my head, and I'll verbalize that to anyone that's influential in that day actually going like that. So everyone knows around me, everything falls into place, and it just means I've got less adverse, like, what do you mean it's not there? Like we organised this a week ago.
Yeah.
And it means that then I do have time to do what I want to do. And I do have time and then it does mean like I get home from uni at 5 because I don't have to go and do something that I fucked up yesterday or the day before I didn't get to that day or like less excuses for things not going to plan, more time for things going to plan, which means I can do those things I set aside for to do and do it well once, not have to do it again. And like, I feel like my partner, I feel like sometimes I'll sit there and verbalize it, like we'll jump in the shower or something before bed and I'll be like, oh, okay, so what are you doing tomorrow? I'm doing this. Do you want to go to gym together and cross this off? Or, oh no, okay, cool, walk the dogs at this time. And she's like, oh, we'll see, like what time? And I'm like it fucking like it triggers me nearly.
I reckon I'm not, sorry, you go.
But I was just going to say like, that's what works for me.
Yeah.
And obviously like, it works for her partly and some people partly, but some people would be listening to this as I'm saying. But that's the whole premise behind this is do what works for you. It doesn't have to be anything what we're saying.
Do what benefits you long term, not what benefits you right now, is the fucking my biggest message. Like,
yeah.
Like the ice cream fucking thing. Yeah, ice cream makes you feel good right when you're eating the motherfucker and you feel like shit, so you eat ice cream and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good for half an hour and then you get fat. You don't get fat, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not good for you. But
we're being, in the sake of making a point too, we're being very, like, harsh on it. Like, I've eaten ice cream in the last month.
Yeah, eat your ice cream, but don't eat it every night.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you feel shit, eat ice cream, that's fine.
I think things like that are, like, less nearly...
It's probably not a good example, to be honest.
No, but diet is super important about everything. Like, even in animals, like the endocrine system, so your hormones and everything, are like driven often by like diet. And there's so many factors that subject. Go. Yeah. I can't even pronounce the fucking thing. Endocrinological. I can't even mess that up. Anyway, but hormones and stuff are influenced by so many factors, but diet's like a big part of it.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're not even ticking off your dietary requirements or doing things like well, then it's like, or if you're just being not lazy, but I know it's nice to go and sit on the couch and watch an episode of TV, but just don't watch 5 and don't just eat a box of ice creams or a packet of chips and then go, oh, fuck, I missed out on gym, that's right.
Yeah. And
then fall into the trap of doing the exact same thing the next day because then you form the wrong habits. Whereas 100%. Go, okay, I went to gym, that affords me the time to now sit down with my partner or whatever, or my dog, if whatever, like whatever valuable your situation is, man. And go, oh, now I feel like I can actually earn the right to sit there and watch that episode that I want to do. But don't put the episode over your sleep pattern either. Like that's where people fall into traps of that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying do
Yeah.
or don't do anything. I'm just finding what works for me. But I feel like it'd be very consistent with a lot of people.
I think
if
this
you
will help.
don't sleep well, you're fucked. Your whole
Yeah.
day is wrecked for tomorrow.
I think this conversation is good regardless of your opinion on it, because I think it still gives you perspective. And I feel like regardless of your opinion on you, me, our perspective on things, I feel like it gives you perspective on your own life, and it gives you options to discuss within yourself. I think like one of the bigger issues that I have, and it's probably getting too deep, and I'll probably pull it up after this sentence, but like like shit connects to. So and I'm stuck on the ice cream thing, but precursor to that, so you've had a bad breakup, or you've had an argument with your partner, or something fucking shit's happened, right? Your ability to deal with that has led to the point of you eating that tub of ice cream, right?
Explain further for me.
So like, this is what I mean. It's gone too fucking.
It's cool. I like it.
Like, let's say you and your partner, and you've had a Barney about whatever the fuck. It's heavily emotionally fueled, and you've had this big Barney. You feel like shit. You skip the gym, you skip your run, you go and sit in your lounge chair, and you eat that tub of ice cream. Whereas, if you had the ability, knowledge, understanding, perspective, whatever you want to call it, to deal with that conflicting situation with your partner a little bit better, you still might have went on your run and went to the gym and not eaten that ice cream.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And you're villainizing ice cream, but it could be
it's just
anything.
an example.
It could be,
you said it, and
it
it's
could
stuck in
be
my head.
Going out with your mates and having 10 beers that night.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh fuck it, like fuck her, fuck him. Just need to get out of the house. Instead of going, what will actually benefit me? Maybe it's just having an actual chat with my partner and sorting out whatever's been a conflict, or going for a walk and just giving it an hour to clear and come back and be like, hey, sorry, I actually listened to what you were saying. This is my response to it. This is actually what I think. Let's revisit that. And you might have a bit more of not an argument, but a discussion, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, again, I feel like we're very analytical in what we do.
Yeah. I think so.
We try and find a simple, like, we're like complex in the sense that like we think about a lot, but then at the end of the day, we're very like driven in terms of like for me, it's like, I'll break down and to liken it back to exams. That's just what I've been through.
Yeah.
I'll be like, all right, in order for me to pass, everyone goes, oh, fuck, I need to look at this lecture, blah, 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 blah. And I just go, I just need to dedicate X amount of hours per day to effective study. And it's that simple.
I think it's rational.
And then it's like, I don't even need to look at every single lecture again because I've been to everyone. I've done the precursors prior. But I know that if I put in 12 hours a day and sleep well is another part. Like, these things are all interlinked. You can't just look at one and do it well or exceptionally and forget everything else. You go, no, I need to just sleep well and go, okay, I've been on my phone for 10 minutes. That 10 minutes too long. Or I need to just go and like, rather than be on my phone for 10 minutes, that's telling me that I'm fucking around. I'm not focused, not doing my editing correctly because I'm tired. Like, you can link it to all these shit we're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to go for a walk and do something different that's totally out of this space. Like, or is me being on the phone to my mum and dad for an hour going to be beneficial? Yeah, maybe it is because I haven't spoken to them because they're interstate.
Makes me feel good or
like,
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be like we're saying exercise related, but that's just what we're finding works. It could be literally fucking taking your dog to the dog park.
Yeah.
And watching them fuck around with other dogs, sniffing asses and shit, pissing on fence posts, whatever, catching frisbees. Fuck, life's good at the dog park. More than other dogs, shit like that. But
dog fights at the dog park.
Like, what we're saying, I feel like, is like transfer it to your life and like.
Yeah, it has to be massaged into who you are, personality wise, I mean. But I think the basic principles of the thing are very the same across the board. Like, hold yourself accountable, be disciplined, and fucking remove emotion from your decisions. I think removing emotion from your decisions is a huge one. Just purely like because, I feel like it adversely affects everything. And have a long-term goals. It doesn't even have to be goals, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
but stress is a big thing too that we haven't really touched on because in uni, that's fucking like people stress about not knowing enough and then their stress causes them to lose valuable hours in not studying. and literally sit
I
there and
froth at
fucking like hyperventilate and cry and fucking not sleep and this. And I'm like, just fucking, like, I can't help people like that. And it's not because I'm not sympathetic. It's just my brain is wired differently, where like I've gone through stressful shit. It's been shit at the time, but I go, okay, how do I deal with this in a way that's going to get me productive sooner? And it's like,
I froth
it's
it.
not sitting there dwelling on that thing. And it's like, we've spoken about it like, with certain, shit. And like everyone deals with it differently, but it's like, and you deal with it differently to me and whatever. But I know that for me, it's like, oh, fuck, I didn't get as many lectures as I wanted to today. That lecture took 3 times as long as what I thought it did. And I still need to go and like research it again. What am I going to do? Okay, I'll get up a little bit earlier and I might skip fucking an hour long break, lunch break, where I go and sit in the sun for 15 minutes. I'm still going to go sit in the sun for 15 minutes because that's a non-negotiable, but I'm not going to call my parents today. I've explained that via text and say I'll call them tomorrow. It's fucking simple.
Yeah.
Like it really is. What's your non-negotiables in the day? Okay, that's
a
X,
good way
Y,
of
Z,
putting it.
fucking JK. What is, like, tier your day? And that's what I do. And that's what, when I say, like, I look at the day, and I think earlier you were saying, oh, I'm not, maybe not that, like, into it, anal or whatever, time-wise and stuff. But it's like, I just tier and go, okay, I need to be at the post office by that time because I've only got a lunch hour for an hour at uni. That means in order for me to leave a lecture at 10 to the hour and be back in the lecture at 10 to the hour, and the drive is 15 minutes, talk to the receptionist, there's going to be fucking someone there doing something at the post office. That gives me 6 minutes to come back and eat my lunch. Okay, I can eat my lunch while doing the lecture. Like, just that's a shit example.
Yeah.
But it's just like
it makes sense.
Factor these things in and go, what is a non-negotiable? Oh, okay, I have to be at the post office today because I've told someone I'm doing something today.
Yeah. And
you fit that in, and then lunch comes second. Like, don't stress about not eating lunch. Just get the post office thing done.
Yeah.
Like, they're shit examples, but they're sort of like hopefully making it human for everyone.
It frustrates me, hey? Like, it frustrates me.
It shouldn't, though. Cause
like, no, it frustrates me the simplicity of it.
Yeah, but it used to frustrate me with my dad, and we've had chats about this.
Yeah.
And I tell my dad to my face, like, why? And he fucking works hard like a dog. Like, I love my dad and love him for when we go hunting, and we have the best memories out of everyone. Like, I love hunting with, it's my dad and my brother. Like, they're my dudes.
Oh.
And but like that's been going on forever.
Yeah. And, look, he's trying to justify it.
No, my puppy. Anyway, so for me, not seeing dad hunt all the time, and it being such a simple yes, no, do you fucking love hunting? Like, is it one of your favorite things to do? Yes. So why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm tired. I'm this. And it's just like excuses, which I guess motivates me in a lot of ways too.
Yeah.
And dad, I'll get him to listen to this and tell him, fucking, I love you, mate. Like, I hope you fucking hunt hard and do it for many years to come. But it's like, I just want him to know that it's like, fucking, time is valuable. And it's like, he works like a dog to like look after my mum, his house, fucking everything, everyone around him, except for like himself, I feel. But he might be completely content with life, which is where that's where I've learned to shut the fuck up, back off, and I feel more content because of it. Whereas I used to say, every time I spoke to my dad, I'd be like, when are you going hunting next? And his priority in life might not be hunting in like it is for me anymore. Yeah. And it's literally, oh, when are we going to go for a hunt? Dad, I'm not going for a hunt with you if you can't organise one yourself. But that's the wrong answer. It's like, why? Oh,
it's your expectations.
I've got holiday. Yeah. Instead of being like, oh, I've got holidays in 3 weeks. Let's fucking look at flights now. I'll get you to come up and we'll go hunt chiddle deer together like old days. And then that might motivate him and perpetuate things into happening for him and rolling the ball. And then he goes and fucking hunts back at home and shoots a sambar deer or whatever, like in Victoria. But it's just, for me in my head, the way my head works, it's like if you're not doing the precursors of making your bed in the morning and then, you know, going to every lecture and then going to gym and then going for a run and like whatever your things are, for you, it might be literally like getting up in the morning, making the bed, bringing a coffee to your wife or your husband, putting the kids in the car, taking them to school, going to work, doing 9 till 5 at work, coming home, fucking reading the newspaper as a break might be your thing. And then you go, fuck, finally help cook dinner. And then that's your day. But like for me, like I'd get frustrated where I was like, dad would work like a dog. Like he owns his own business, hairdressing and stuff, and then we'd go home and watch TV. And I'm like, surely you could be just like, when was the last time you shot your bow? Oh, I haven't. My shoulder's a bit sore. Have you been doing any stretching? Like I've always got answers and reasons to do things. And then the only way he would do it was we'd play this stupid funny game where I was like, for me, Dad, go fucking hunting this weekend and send me a photo of you, like a selfie of you so I know it's real time, with like 3 fingers up and your tongue out and your hat tilted to the side. And he'd send me this whack fucking photo. And I was like, good job, I'm fucking proud of you, because I knew he was out in the bush at that very moment. It wasn't just this fucking photo from 3 years ago. And he would fucking love it, which is so annoying. And he's like, and then he'd like, I could talk about it for hours, but Dad had this goal years ago, like fucking 5 years ago, because I hunted in Victoria, was living down there before I come up here. Shot a few samba deer, which was like really difficult with the bow. Anyway, had this awesome, like, where I was just on the top of my hunting, like hunting I was doing the uni, but working and playing footy. And before the footy games on a Saturday, I was playing like senior footy. I'd go fucking hunting all day Friday because it was my day off uni, and like carry out fucking full samba deer till the early hours of the morning, be butchering them up, and then go to senior footy and get thrashed, and then, you know, hunting again on Sunday. Like just fucking immersed in it, loving it. And then Dad, I remember, said, like, I really want to shoot a samba deer, sorry. And that was his goal. I said, all right, well, let's go out. Have you been shooting your bow, doing all these precursors that I talk about? And he's like, oh, no, I haven't. Like, I'm working like a dog and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, that's fine. I know that's a non-negotiable for you, but you've also got to then get rid of watching TV isn't a non-negotiable. Fuck it off.
Yeah.
Because it's not benefiting you. I know it's nice and comfy and you enjoy doing it before you go to bed, but you also end up some nights fucking falling asleep on the couch.
What's comfortable? That's that's another topic of discussion.
Just fucking turn the lights on outside and shoot your bow at 10 meters just so you get some rhythm and more muscular development with your back. That's going to benefit you more, so that when you do get time off your fucking busy, hectic work life, you're going to be in the bush, ready to go hunting samba deer. And anyway, long story short, he didn't get it done. He had the idea of, I can't remember what year it was, like, I really want to shoot a samba deer. Didn't do it. And then one year, it was during COVID, I was on him. And this is where, like, our relationship was almost strained because I'm a fucking rude little prick. Like, looking back, I had the right intentions but handled it the wrong way, in terms of, like, because I'm non-negotiable with myself.
Yeah.
But not everyone's like that. And I was handling him like I like to be handled. And then, so I was like, go fucking hunting. Why aren't you training? Why aren't you stretching? You've got no excuses because you're not working because of COVID. You're just being fucking lazy. And like, he probably was, to be honest. But nothing I was doing or saying was helping. And then he would end up just going hunting and doing it. And he ended up shooting a samba deer. And it was so good. Like, I was so stoked and happy for him and stuff. And he had that feeling where he was like, thank fuck. That's like years of effort that I've been like trying, like thinking it, imagining it and stuff. And I was like, how good's this feeling? Bottle up and go and fucking do it again. Make it every, not weekend or whatever, because you can't eat a samba deer every weekend. But it's the principle of like, this is what you fucking love doing. Bottle that feeling up and do it. That's what I want from you. I don't care what it is. Just do it, because you don't get this from watching TV. Yeah. And like, he admitted it, which is what's annoying. Like, it's annoying when people... Like, and to be honest, I only do it, like, it's funny because the only person I really get up, like, with this sort of shit that we're talking about, or like am active in someone trying to change, is like my dad and my brother. Like, but James is like similar to me, but like the least organized person, the least fucking like, but he just is super passionate about like hunting. Yeah. So he won't like organize a trip to America. He'll just go and fucking do it and put so much effort and work in, and like has unreal work ethic where he'll get it done. Different to me, where I organize and methodical, like all this, and we'll get it done. Like, we both reach the same destination, but different ways. But James, that's a really good fucking
a way of explaining that.
Oh, but
that's just bang on, because you two are like...
Oh, it's fucking weird.
Is exactly the same, but completely different.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's fucking weird to explain it from a third person.
We also are like unrelenting in telling each other like you were in the car the other day when we were going diving, and James was like, oi, fucker, like, hold me accountable. I need to get an edit sent to you by this weekend. I said, oh, okay, yeah, why is that? And he's like, just tell me, like, I need to. And like, it's like they're tiny little things, but like that we work like James. If I'm hard on James with something, we've worked it out where like he knows my best interest is for him. Like I'm not telling him because he knows that it's literally him and Dad that I talk like this to. Yeah, because I genuinely could not give a fuck about anyone else. My circle in life is very small, which whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I personally thrive on it. Some people might have 100 close mates. I've got fucking 10. Like, for me, that's like what I've worked out that works. I'd rather put 10 hours into 10 mates than 1 hour into 100. 100%. I feel like it enriches me more. Mm-hmm. But I've worked that out, and that's why like I think Dad's starting to realise, and like I've adjusted how I approach it all. But like the way I deal with Dad is the way I deal differently with James. James, I can say like, stop being fucking lazy. You said keep me accountable. I'm keeping you accountable. I'm not the fucking bad guy here. You are, because you had these parameters that you're not living up to. I'm trying to fucking get you there. And he does the same with me with uni. Like, if I'm like, oh, I can't be fucked. Like I might just go into this exam like half-hearted. I really want to go fucking hunting. Don't fucking do that. You fucking work for 5 years. Do it and then go hunting when you pass the exam or smashed it or whatever. Like, and that's just Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's all bang on. So I think, and this is where most people drop the ball, right? So you have these expectations of yourself, right? So then you inadvertently apply those expectations to your old man, which is unjust, basically, which you can't and / shouldn't do.
Yeah, 100%.
But then you've looked back and gone, that actually doesn't work because of these things and because of my dad's life and his situation and all that sort of stuff, which is a perspective type thing, right? Most people stop at the point where like that person's a fucking dickhead or he's doing the wrong thing because of this, based on my expectations. Your expectations have no value in that person's life, regardless of whether it's your brother, your dad, your best friend, your mum. Doesn't make a difference. Your expectations of that person have zero value, as in like from your perspective. They can help, your expectations can help and improve, and your opinions can help assist and all that sort of stuff. But whether they take them on board, if they don't take them on board, they have no value. Yeah,
no, I agree. And that's where like I get frustrated if someone is like to me, my back's really sore.
Where's the stuffing?
Nah, my back's really sore.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, okay. Like, any reasons why you think that might be the case? Oh, well, I've been falling asleep on the couch for the last 5 nights.
Get off the fucking couch.
Okay, so do you think it's beneficial that before you start getting really tired, I'm not saying don't watch your TV or don't enjoy your leisure time, but instead of going, oh, I'm a bit tired, I'm probably going to fall asleep halfway through this episode and end up on the couch for 3 hours and wake up at 1 and then walk myself to bed and then end up having a sore fucking back.
Yeah.
Don't watch that 3rd episode or the 2nd or the 1st. It could be the 1st. Just go to bed and fucking put yourself first for that 5 minutes. It's a simple like discipline where you go, short term, I miss out on that episode that I was looking forward to all day. Long term, I'm not going to be fucked tomorrow and sub-motivated and sub-optimal. My back's not going to be sore. Yeah. Like, it's such a fucking...
It's a simple answer for you.
For me, it's so logical. And, like, I'm saying, like, I'm fucking perfect. Like, that's the annoying thing. I'm talking here like I'm perfect. Whereas in reality, I'm fucking...
Nobody is.
28 years old, have only just fucking passed my uni exams. Not that I didn't pass. I did everything in time and stuff. But it took me fucking time to do another degree, fuck around, work, to go, that's what I actually want to do. Whereas some people are fucking... I've got people in my cohort now that are 17 when they got into vet, and they're now, 23 or something, or 22, whatever it is, graduating, and I'm 28. It's like, so by no means I'm fucking putting myself on a high horse saying this is this. I'm just saying like this is what I've learned in this fucking journey.
Exactly. And I think that's bang on. Like, I think like why I like doing these podcasts so much and why I like talking to people like yourself is because I get kicks out of being able to apply. Like if one person listens to this and picks one thing out of all of this conversation that helps them improve their life, like that makes me feel good.
I like the in-depth conversation because we'll chat and you'll say something that I'll be like, bang, bang, I'll hear 3 words like discipline. And for me, discipline might mean X, Y, Z, and I'll go and start saying that. But I'll 100% go and listen to this a couple of times. And I'll go back and be like, oh, fuck, I interrupted Wade when he was saying something completely different to talk about what I thought he was saying. Like, I think that's what he was talking about, but I'll think about that later. And then, like, I'll go through, like, a period where I'm, like, learning or think, like, it's amazing, like, when you... That's why video is cool in general and, like, hearing back things. And, like, that's why with hunting, to then get back to hunting, I'd love recording stuff with video because you watch, like, an encounter, of how you think a deer interaction went within bow range.
Completely different.
And you're like, oh, those deer fucking winded me. But then you look back in the back of the footage and you hear, like, 30 seconds before those deer, what you thought winded you, a butcher bird was in the tree calling. And then you're like, oh, what the fuck? There was a butcher bird there. I didn't even hear that because I was so focused on the deer at 20 meters not seeing me.
That sounds like that just happened.
Literally. But it's fucked. Like, it's all, again, reflection and, like, being open to learning from what you do or see or whatever and listening. But you'll watch that back and go, oh, that butcher bird called. And then 15 seconds later, you'll see a hind fucking stops chewing her cud and looks in your direction. And maybe I moved the focus on the camera and she just saw a finger move. And that's enough for her to get up, walk 30 meters around the right-hand side. And then she has got and I wasn't even looking at her. I didn't even realize she did that because I was so entranced on the stag at 20 meters in dead center, like peripheral, like in front. And that hind's winded me on 30 meters. So the wind didn't change like I thought. The hind fucking heard the butcher bird, which saw me. And then she's seen me and gone and done a fucking lap around the block and smelt me. Yeah. The end result is the same, but there's so many fucking learnings to be taken out of that. Like, it's... I think being open to that sort of reflection is...
I think most people aren't. Which is why I enjoy these kind of conversations and which is why I have them, like... My podcast is called, like, an outdoors podcast, which most people on here are outdoors people, but I feel like...
What's your podcast called?
Flow Set Outdoors.
Oh.
It's nothing crazy.
Like, what are your handles?
No, I just think, like, I just enjoy these kinds of conversations because they benefit me for starters, and they benefit. I feel like they benefit other people as well, and I feel like they're broadly applied. Like, they've got, like, outdoor based influence and stuff, but I feel like they benefit people, like, for a better life.
It's funny because we haven't spoke about anything that I particularly think we're actually good at. Like, I'm not good at...
How long have we been going for?
I'm not good at...
an hour and a half.
I'm not good at uni. I'm not good at lifting weights. I'm not good at running. I'm not good at fucking waking up early. I'm not good at any of this shit. And I feel like that's what we talked about. But it's trying to get the best out of those things. Whereas if we spoke about hunting, I could genuinely say... I feel as if I'm actually fucking good at hunting. Like, that's probably what I was put on this earth to do, is hunt.
It's probably a good precursor, actually, because I need a fucking toilet break. So it's probably a...
Coward.
That's the worst word ever invented, eh?
Most disliked word.
It is.
I love it.
It is. Pee break. Let's talk some hunting. All right, we're back. Let's talk some hunting, because we haven't. But I hope... Yeah, like I think like a lot of the stuff we discussed is applicable to anyone's life in general. I think as long as people don't be specific and be like, I don't agree with that and there's like specifics about running or gym or whatever, I feel like there's broader points there that are valuable to anyone's life.
What we spoke about with everything in just general life, for us it was like uni and work and businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
I can directly relate to diving and being new to diving in the last couple of years and going from Victoria, where it was like 3 meters max pretty much, or 5 meters, to here at the reef where you might be diving 20, or obviously people who are better dive much further than that. But really pushing myself and going like, oh, I really want to like get better at this. I remember downloading like a breathing app and just practicing during uni breath holds.
Yep. Laying in bed and shit.
And then literally going to the local pool and getting like reported for swimming laps with my dive gear and making sure that my fins fucking worked, and practicing kick dives with Rennie and stuff, and like duck dives, sorry, not kick dives.
Yeah.
Duck dives, and like just fucking being comfortable with our masks on and hoods and everything, and like, you know, just practicing. It's like, how many other fuckers do that? And then Rennie is meticulous with his gear and stuff. Goes through it every night before a trip, basically, so that when he's out there on the boat, there's not fucked up gear or lost fish because something breaks. It's like, there's so much you can do before you want to go and achieve this thing, which is basically the premise to everything we spoke about earlier. Is if you're passionate about something or want results, there's so many things that you can do in the right direction and steps you can tick off, or boxes, whatever, to achieve it later on. Don't just think, I'm going to run a marathon. Go for a fucking walk down the road first. Get your legs used to walking.
Yeah.
Get some runners.
Yeah.
Swap sitting on the couch with 10 minutes of walking. Like,
yeah, you have to. The hardest point in anything is starting too.
Yeah.
I agree 100% with that. And Rennie is anal, and so are you.
Fuck that guy.
He's fucking string bean looking.
Shout out to Rennie. Benjamin.
No, I love him.
He's a good bloke.
He's got a good haircut.
Loves sleeping.
Fuck it. The most tired cunt I've ever met.
Sleeping.
The tiredest boy.
Has like albino eyes where they can't see the sun or something because they die. Go red and shrivel.
They go like red wine red. Hectic. Yeah, he's a cool little lad. Let's shoot some questions and then talk about some stuff, because this will lead into a heap of discussions. Buff hunting. I'm not answering this, but buff hunting, need tips and that. Mainly from you, you're buff slaying.
Yeah, you're the expert. You killed buff before me. Like,
well, it hasn't
more recently than me.
It hasn't been on the potty. I haven't had a potty since, I don't think.
I want to ask you some questions on that. I was actually thinking about it.
Right, I can't shoot.
No, like, well, what are the tips? What from no, like literally. Well, as someone that hasn't bow hunted a heat, what are like 3 things that you took out of it as important?
Slowly. It's probably like one thing I found. It's probably a general thing with bow hunting is slow down. Everything, and I think fly fishing for me. So like, I've done a shit ton of fly fishing, not heaps, but like enough to understand it well enough to do it decently. I think slow down is like a key aspect of it, and I think that directly applies to bow hunting in general. And I think it directly applies to this. I don't think it's a shit answer, but I don't.
No, I'd agree.
I don't think I have anything particular towards buff.
Yeah,
I don't think like.
I would agree, and I think going slowly, like having just been in the bush literally a few days ago after a long time of not being in the bush, it's amazing that like a kangaroo jumping across the landscape. Like, oh fuck, there's a kangaroo there from a kilometre away. You see that.
Yeah.
A bird swooping like radically out of the sky and flapping its wings quickly over, even a chital deer mob will go like and lift their head and go, fuck, what was that? And I forget that it's a podcast, but like I just turned my head and looked up to the sky really quickly.
Yeah.
Like they will notice like that erratic behaviour. So it's the same as you. If you take 50 steps and then go like, oh fuck, was that a buffalo back there that I just sort of like saw but didn't look at? A buffalo is doing the exact same fucking thing, but so are the birds, so are the kangaroos, so is every other living animal on that floodplain or whatever.
Yeah.
Is looking and going, that's not normal. Nothing in nature really, unless it's like a fucking animal like chasing to eat something, like, or a predatory response, nothing's moving super, super quick. Like animals will meander back to their beds, but they generally will do that. Take a bit of a step, rub a tree, browse, like walk along, smell something, stop for a while, like look back at over their shoulder, another animal that's doing like the same sort of little walk. Everything's sort of like at their own pace, like slow. They're getting to a destination, but they do it because they're also listening for danger and stuff.
Yeah.
So nothing moves that quickly across the landscape. So I think slowing down is massive, because that leads into like, as someone that's hunted buffalo a couple of times, one thing that I consider super keen with buffalo is their eyesight.
Yeah.
Like
those
their
motherfuckers
fine
just
detail probably isn't there, but they'll see a figure move like ages away across a floodplain and go, and bow run species in general, like scrub bulls do this as well. They'll see something move and they'll just like fucking sit there transfixed in that direction.
Hours, man.
For ages. Like, and it's great because if you can then hit a little creek and drop out of sight and pop up 50 meters to their left,
You can walk up and poke them in the
they're
arse.
like looking back where they saw that movement from 3 hours ago. They're looking that direction.
Hectic.
It's the same as like I remember with Dad's buffalo bull, we like originally saw it from the car, and that buffalo walked for kilometers and then just stopped on a bit of green feed and sat looking in the same direction as where we'd passed with the car, like 3 kilometers back. So we had to do a massive loop to get the wind right, and then as soon as we got the wind right, we did a bigger cross-sectional loop and sort of hunted on like a crosswind, just so that the buff wasn't looking our direction dead downwind to where the car happened to be. Because he must have just been like, oh, I heard something weird ages ago. I'm just going to look in that direction for danger. Like, that's what buffalo seem to do, is they just like often will look, like sense danger and go, I'm just going to stare there until I see danger or danger's not coming. And then they're like, okay, cool. But
I don't know when
3 hours.
when that point is where they go, oh, okay, there's nothing there. I feel like that is like at least 3 hours from when they started looking, man. It's fucking, they just stare and
it
do
obviously
non-stop.
varies, but like they'll often do that, and then if they see movement again, like it's generally fine if you move quick and go, oh fuck, that buff saw me, like I'm just going to stop, or I'm going to drop out of sight by using terrain or topography or whatever and come around a different loop. You're generally fine because you change that angle. But buffalo are massive on, like, they'll see something, they'll stare there for like ages in that direction, and then the second they get that second confirmation of like, oh fuck, there is something there that's interesting, then they start doing that. They walk in towards you because they're a big animal, they're confident and inquisitive, and then they'll start looping around once they get to like 50 or so or whatever, and they'll start looping around getting the wind, and as soon as the wind changes, that's when they do that like big like fucking huff and puff. Buffalo will run away. Scrub bulls sometimes when they smell you are more aggressive and will try and be like, oh, what the fuck is this? So it's like, you said like almost jokingly, like that's all you think about for buff, but it's like true. It's go slow leads into that. The slower you are, the more chance you have of detecting that buffalo before it potentially sees you, I guess. Yeah,
I think I was with a mate that hunts them very often, so I can't really comment on particulars. But yeah, I think that was probably one of the key points. And just knowing your landscape. So we were working watercourses were like billabongs in the end of the dry season. We had rain, which completely fucked the whole show pretty much. But understand your landscape as well.
Yeah, and read sign. That's where you can't realistically with buffalo, when you're hunting 1 million acres, just say, walk 3K of it and be like expecting to see buffalo or a mature bull that you want to kill, or if you're hunting for meat, like a cow, whatever it is. Whereas if you go, okay, we're in a zone where there's no watercourse nearby, but that comes back to prior planning and checking your maps and going, okay, this is where we're going to start the hunt. We need to walk 10 Ks to get to this lagoon area, which around it has paperbark swamps and then a little creek that runs off that way into that undulating hills, which is where they're going to be going off there where it's flat and like pastures and they're bedding, well, not pastures, but floodplains or whatever, and they're bedding and flats, to those slight hills where they're going to have a bit more breeze, and that's where we're going to be bedding up in the day and the heat of the day and stuff and hidden. So you got to go, okay, we're going to walk 10 Ks quick, and then as soon as we get to this spot and we start seeing shit, or we start seeing game trails, or we start seeing tracks that are fresh, or mud on paperbark trees from wallowing buffalo, or we start seeing water with tracks on it, or whatever it may be. Like, you've got these things through doing it enough or knowing enough about animals. You go, okay, you might start seeing good pastures. And go, okay, if I was a buffalo and this time of year where it's dry season, I'd be here. And that's the indicator that goes, okay, I need to slow down from walking at 70% to a 30%. And that's where you cover that next 3 kilometers slowly and then go, okay, cool, there's nothing here. I've done everything in my possible power to hunt that properly. Now I need to move and be somewhere else because they're not here right now. I'm not seeing their shit. I'm not seeing their tracks. I'm not seeing this. I'm not seeing animals. You can't just continue to hunt that. Like, it's good to have a plan, but if it doesn't go to work, you've got to adapt, and they might be on that next lagoon because it's got a slightly different pasture plant that's better, more palatable. And
that's pretty much exactly what happened with us. We got to a point where it rained. I think it rained like a few days before I got there. It rained the day before I got there. and it sort of showered and shit the night before, like the arvo and night before we got there. So what that does is basically in the dry season, shit gets just burnt to buggery. There's water and there's pick around water and there's basically nothing else. When there's rain, all the burnt country gets green shoots and shit, and that's when animals just scatter and they could just be anywhere in the savannah country. That happened basically when we got there. We ended up spending the first day trudging through mud, basically, just all the topsoil's wet, just clinging to your boots. It was fucked. Blisters on both feet, kilometres of walking. Didn't see anything anywhere. And when, in general, all these little tiny billabongs off the main watercourse were like, should have just like hubs of animals like pigs and barf and birds and all that sort of shit. There was just nothing around because there was green pick everywhere. Everything was just scattered walking around. There was little water puddles and stuff everywhere. Things could get water. They didn't have to go back to the lagoons. So that sort of cooked the whole situation. And then, so we sort of, the second day we started sort of thinking out the box a bit, end up putting the drone up and seeing a couple of buff in this random little like dry ass creek bed on this like, wasn't basalt, but it was like similar to like a basalt ridge line, and this random little creek running alongside of it. And I saw like, I'm not sure what it was. I'm pretty sure it was like a cow and maybe a yearling bull or a calf or something. So then we started like trekking that way, and then we ended up like a herd of buff like walked onto us on the way there, and it was just like completely out of the way basically, and it ended up playing out the right way. So like I think keeping your options open is key too. Like, and I've been aware of like, just because it's dry season doesn't mean that much. Like there was a storm a bit before and a storm the night, like a few days before, and a storm the night before, and it completely changed the situation in the next few days of hunting. I think that's key.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, adaptability probably is another one.
Yeah.
Is probably what I was trying to get at, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I think...
and hard work, obviously, like, is the premise to all that. Like, happy to walk around with bloody mud on your boots and, continue going, I guess.
It was a bit of a grind. In the grand scheme of bow hunting that some people do, like, talking mountains and all sorts of fucked up shit that people go through, it's probably not that bad, but it's fucking hot.
They're all different, though.
Yeah.
It's like we just experienced a chittle deer hunt where... Chittle, in my mind, is one of the hardest like hunts, especially the way we hunt. Like there's certain instances where you can walk down a creek, the deer are in the creek, you just pop over a high bank and go arrow at 30 meters. Yeah. That deer's dead in a 6-minute stalk.
Yeah.
They walked onto you. Whereas you would have seen what we do a lot of the time because it's like flat, open basalt country, not much topography. You're seeing deer from 600 meters to a K away, and you're planning, okay, how the fuck am I going to spend the next like all day inching my way closer over hours and hours and hours. And for an hour, you might sit there because the wind's shit and you're at a distance where it's safe. And then you go, okay, cool, I'm ready to make a move. I've been sitting in the sun for an hour, and then a bird lands in the tree above you, and you're like, fuck, if I move now, those deer, without a doubt, are going to hear this bird and sit there looking at me for the next 3 hours. In this, not at me, but in this direction. Is it worth me moving now and trying to steal 5 meters? Or do I let that bird fuck off and fly away? And then I've got the deer looking in all directions and only one looking my way, which I can line a tree up. And there's so many like internal decision making, like 1%ers that we explained and spoke about at length about. Yeah, it's like it'd be nice to steal 50 meters really quickly without glassing and making sure no deer are looking. But like there were times where like I remember like I'd literally have the binos in front of my face and be glassing, and then with my like eyes scan down between my eyes and the binos and just make sure that I'm not stepping on anything where I'm going to trip. But the binos don't leave my face even though I'm moving forward one step over 600 meters.
Because you dropping those binos or picking them up or moving
it's
them
just shiny,
is like a
reflective.
risk.
Plus like I can put them down and go, oh yeah, I think my eyes are good enough to see if that hind's like not chewing a cud. But after spending 6 hours in the game, skinning in the game, and I'm dedicated to, and that's the thing, I think literally dedication comes to me when it comes to chittle deer. It's like, because I know if I do everything that I'm talking about now, I'll kill that deer. Like I'm confident in my abilities and my process now. I know exactly what it takes. The only thing that generally undoes me in these hunts is the wind. Otherwise, nearly every time I go hunting, I feel like I'm that confident I could shoot a chital deer.
Yeah.
And it's excessive because realistically, I could put the binos down in my bino harness or on my chest and go, oh, okay, I'm pretty sure that hind's not looking, like she's chewing a cud, she's relaxed. I'm going to take 10 steps and then just put my binos up and see. But in those, she might have looked up at the 5th step. She might have looked up at the 3rd step. She might not have looked up at all. But I'm not going to take that risk. And it's like all relative risk in terms of what are you happy to try and get away with. And it might work. But if that's your one stalk for the day, do everything you can. And some people don't do it. Some people do it. And like sometimes it's like, that's where I think we spoke about it a lot at length actually, is with picking the stalks that I think are going to be successful or not, or if that's a deer that I want to shoot anyway. Like it might be in the right spot, but it's a sub-mature deer. So there's no point in me even stalking it unless I want to go and get footage of it. Or do I just go and spend the rest of the day looking for a stag that I potentially want to shoot? Or if I'm out for meat, there's a mob of 80 hinds that I know is going to do it properly is going to take 8 hours to stalk or a long time. Or do I go and try and find 3 hinds? Like that's where like I've adapted my process to work better and get more efficient. But the actual process hasn't changed. It doesn't change that much.
Chital like blow me out with how difficult they are, like how alert they are to everything. So like, and I make this analogy a fair bit to everyone, is like pigs are pretty fucking blind, reasonably not that great at hearing, but their nose is insane.
Yeah.
Buff's eyesight really good, their nose is pretty good, their ears are average, say. Chital are just, everything is optimized. Like they hear everything, they see everything, they smell everything.
Yeah. And
it is literally a game of inches. And literally if you've got 2 days to hunt, that could literally mean 2 fucking stalks.
Yeah. And the thing with chital as well is like, and hunting in general, is that people, and this is something I say with confidence, is that like people don't correctly analyze the stalk, and people are too quick to say, oh, the wind bugged me.
Yeah, this is an irk of yours, eh?
Yeah, it genuinely is, because I'll hunt with people and they'll say, oh, the wind. And I'm like, no, that hind that has done those 7 cues and we chose to ignore them because your feet were sore or you wanted to sit down and kneel down when we shouldn't have. We should have just sat there standing upright. Like it happens heaps when I'm guiding. Yeah. Because I know what it takes, like, to get it done. Whereas someone that doesn't hunt every day or isn't, doing the 1%ers and doesn't and goes, oh, we'll do it tomorrow, or we'll walk 50 metres down the creek and we'll find another mob of deer. I know we might not. So I know that what's in front of me I'm going to treat, especially if there's a stag that we're trying to hunt with the guided hunting, it's generally like more trophy orientated. Like they want to shoot the most mature, biggest, oldest deer that we can find. And you might only see 2 of those in a 4-day hunt. You might see 20 on the first day and then not see one for the next 3 days. So I know that when we do, I verbalize that to the clients. This is the reality of it. This is a stag that we are happy, like you would be happy to shoot, blah, blah, blah. We talk to them about it, like, yeah, 100%, like, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is what we need to do to get this done. Let's, like, do that. Let's achieve this together. And there's some guys that will jump on and just be like, hell yeah, let's do this, and fucking love the ride and go for it.
Yeah.
Others are like, they think they want to do it and then they get 50 metres in and like, I'll have people that will try and almost cheat the process and be like, oh, okay, we're close enough, let's do it now. And for some reason, I don't know why, but with rifle hunters in particular that come on the safari, we'll shoot like a target beforehand.
Yeah.
And for example, they'll shoot a cardboard box with a little circle on there, put 4 bullets through that little 10% coin. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dialed 250 metres. Beautiful.
Yep.
We're going to try and get into sub 100. And they're like, oh yeah, cool, that sounds great. We'll get to 200 on these deer and they're like, oh, let me shoot them. And I know the answer in my head is no. And now I'm a lot better with it. But early days I'd be like, I think we should get closer. And they're like, oh no, like I don't want to get closer. Like what if the wind fucks us? I'm like, there's more chance of you missing this in my head. I don't say this, obviously, but like now I do. I say in my head, I used to think, I know there's more chance of you fucking this shot up or gut shooting the deer because you're stressed. You're like not used to this heat. You're tired. You've traveled. They're smaller deer than a sambar deer from Victoria. That like all these factors that I know of. The wind is the least of our concerns. Like we should be trying to get in closer so that it's more of a chip shot for you under 100 meters with a rifle. And for whatever reason, early days when I was guiding, I would like succumb to that because I'm like, okay, it's their hunt. This is what they want to do. They have shown me, in all due respect, they had shown me they can shoot 4 bullets within a 10-cent coin at 250 meters. Like, give them the benefit of the doubt. And they'll miss a fucking whole chiddle deer, which like might be 100 kilos of stag sitting in front of them. They'll miss it, clean miss it. And you're like, how is that possible? You had a perfect rest, all this, but whatever. So now it's like I don't even allow a lot of the time the opportunity, which like, and it's some people might not like that, but I just, when I have these hunts with people, I'll speak to them at length on the phone and go through like the expectations of what they want to do. Tell them what I find works successfully, whether they want to continue with the hunt process. But everyone that does it and does it sort of like generally how we do it fucking loves it because they're like, I've never seen behavior like that up close. I've never shot a deer under that distance. I can't believe like that's what happens and this and this. And it's just like, it's fucking hard work, but it works for a reason, like that little process. And it's, as you said, like, it's just trying to go, okay, this is 1%, sticking to the shade. This is 1%. Add that in, add that in, add that in, and soon enough you get closest to 100. Not that you can ever be 100% certain of something.
Yep.
But when you pull that trigger or shoot that release, in your mind, you're 100% positive.
Confident in yourself, yeah.
Whereas then there's external factors that you can't control, but at least you can control everything that you physically can and you have. So like that's a bit of a massive mission and like principles behind what we do, I guess.
How did you gather that knowledge and
just doing it? I think years and years of doing it, and like I used to go out. One of the properties we hunted on, and I now guide on, has a trophy fee, which like we pay the property owners a trophy fee still to this day to hunt deer on that property. A trophy, not a trophy fee, but I guess a trophy fee for hinds, to shoot a hind on that property. Like everything is super tightly managed and regulated cost-wise so that it's beneficial for them to have deer on the property, which I'm happy to pay because it means that a resource stays there. And we guide currently on that property to this day. Like it's a great property. But I remember like I had shot deer when I was younger. And basically when was working like between my first degree and this degree, and then come up here and said, I'm not shooting anything unless it's exceptional, like has to be extremely mature, like something I've never seen before. So anyway, I'd go out every weekend still in the first like 2 to 3 years of uni because that was my release from uni. I'd just go out with the camera and video deer and just take the bow in case I saw a pig or something.
Yep.
And did that religiously. And then one day, I was told this story previously on the podcast where I found that mature stag and videoed him at like under 40 meters and he bellowed and called. And like I can give you the footage if you want to chuck it in here.
Could do too.
But basically he called, I went back, watched that footage and went, holy shit, like that deer is massive. Like, wow. But it was basically, and I ended up hunting him for the next 2 months and ended up taking on the bow, and that story is in like the previous podcast we did. But to answer the question, I think that period where from first and second year, I went out every weekend if I could, if I didn't have a party on or something, or not a party, but like a mate's birthday, I'd go out and just video deer for 3 days over the weekend and then come back and go straight into uni and then do it again. And like I knew deer by their names. I knew deer by the little tuft of hair out of place on their antler, or their coronet was broken, or their antler tip was shorter on that side and its brow was bigger, and like the attention to detail that I put into it and worked out And to be honest, bow hunting for me, like I've only ever bow hunted, I find super easy because the bow becomes like an extension of yourself.
Yeah.
It's very streamlined.
Fuck,
you can move, weave. Like it's very going back to the monk. It's like very elemental in terms of like it's part of you, sort of like it's an extension of yourself. Whereas a tripod is this clangy fucking three-legged motherfucker that's loud and never opens properly, never stays closed. You always forget to like latch something up and it drops and clangs and makes a thud and you're like, fuck. And you're doing all this trying to be stealthy under 30 meters still to get good footage. But then you achieve that and you're like, fuck, how do I get into under 30 of a mob of 40 deer? And then you sit there for 40 minutes until the wind inevitably changes or a deer catches you scrolling the zoom with your one little finger. But you do that for months and months and months, weekends, and then you watch all that footage back when you're editing it or watching it back and learning and going, fuck, that deer from 500 metres away, the whole mob was feeding. And then, like, I still remember saying to clients, sorry, I'm like scattering around, but like, right. It just goes back to like, I remember me watching footage and the butcher bird called. And like, this is years and years and years and years ago. And it called and every deer in the mob just went heads up. Some of them lifted their tails, were white. Their heads, their neck, they've got that white throat patch and their ears are white. So my rule of thumb is to a client, if I'm not with them and they're stalking in front of me, if you see any white, stop moving. So that's a simple rule now.
Yeah.
And it generally holds you in good stead because it means it's either their fucking tail alert, upright, their neck, which means their head's up out of the grass, or their ears, which means they're alert, listening your direction. If you can't see white, you're generally fine. And that's at a distance where if you're being too lazy to fucking use glass and use your binos to see accurately, like is that deer looking or is it glancing to the left or is it facing my direction and chewing its cud and its eyes half shut and it looks like it's alert, but it's not. Use those little like cheat. Like if it's white, don't move. But if it's brown and it's, you know, it's heads down, you're fine. Like there's little shit like that I've just like, but it comes from watching footage and going, oh, every single deer lifted their head and not just going, oh, they listen to butcher birds, but like drawing other conclusions from that footage at a finer level. You know, what trees do they always bed under? I've got hundreds of hours of footage of them bedded under trees. What trees are they every time? Where do the deer seem to be at what certain times? Like screenshotting weather, talking to the property owners. What paddocks have you got the cattle in? At what time of year? When did you last have rain? When you have rain, why are they not in these paddocks? Oh, okay, because they're low dwelling paddocks and they're up on the basalt in the other paddocks. Like so much shit that if you're just obsessed like we are and I am, you eventually find out and puzzle together because you're simply out there doing it all the time. Like that's the only way I can explain it. It's like I've got mates that do it with whatever passion it is there. It could be fucking diving, woodwork, like, I don't know, anything. Like they will tell me fine details that I'm like, I would never have thought of that. And it's just simply, I think, from doing it relentlessly for years and years and a lot of time.
How did you find guiding? Like,
I love it. Like, it's super rewarding. There's a massive pressure to it. Like, massive. Again, like, it was weird. I got paid to play footy in Victoria, like seniors and stuff. And that was pressure because it felt like I was doing, like, whenever I work, and that's what I'm keen for next year, when I'm working as a vet, like pressure fucking really motivates me to do well and perform.
Yeah, it does. So good.
Then, like, that's how I feed off, and that's where, like, making certain things for Twin Elements and trying to be the best I can to do things and help show people things. Like, it's weird because out of everything that motivates me, uni was one of those things that was the most for me, like, in terms of my future.
Yeah.
And it was nearly, like, the least motivating because it wasn't, like, it's uni itself isn't, like, my passion. Vet is, but not uni. Like, I don't, whereas me... Guiding was, hunting is my passion. Guiding is like, this is how I can spend more time hunting and help people achieve what they want to do and share my knowledge and whatever. And I see direct results where like someone may not have achieved what they did without me, but it's just like seeing where they start and then they also like are so appreciative of it too. And like just inflicting little parts between each other and like I'll talk to someone who's a butcher, I'll talk to someone who's a teacher, I'll talk to someone who's a psychologist.
Yeah.
Talk like different religions, different genders, and like so much diversity. And then we'll talk about one simple thing, which is hunting, and like what we're doing now, and it's just fucking cool. And then at the end of the day, put in work, and I guarantee them, if we work hard, we'll have that one opportunity. And if you listen to me, like we'll get it done. Like I'm confident in that. Like it's just But hunting's never guaranteed, and like they know that when we chat about it on the phone and stuff. But like work ethic somehow has a way of getting it done. Like if you sleep in, and that's the thing. I tell my clients, like, I'll be the first one up out of bed. I'll have everything ready. I'll have your brekkie on the table. I'll have your coffee on the table. I'll have your midday snacks. I'll have stayed up till 2 a.m. butchering and doing trophy preparation, skins, capes, whatever the night before. And I'll get up at 4 to do all the same thing if you're going to be up at 4:30 to eat it. And then be out there half an hour before first light. But if you're not, I'm going to try and get you up, but I'm not here to babysit people. Like,
that's fair.
I tell them all this on the phone because it's just like nothing pisses me off more. It's similar. Then people with like a dream and stuff and then not putting in the work to achieve it. Like, because it almost like.
It's the same.
Yeah. But I love it. Guiding is addictive. I wish I had more time for it, to be honest. Yeah, it's really good. Love it. The pressure's cool. Like the pressure of someone spending money to entrust you into helping them achieve potentially a trip of a lifetime.
I reckon it makes you better. Like,
for sure.
For that
Well,
instance.
in some instances, you're trying to sneak 3 people into less than 30 meters with a bow.
It's hard enough to sneak one.
Yeah.
They're the most fucked up animals,
man. It comes back to the tripod thing where like you get a tripod in, you're going to be able to draw back a bow because a bow is like so streamlined and vertical. It's all that, like you do things that like, slow, but that's why I know that process works even with 5 people behind me.
Yeah. That makes sense. Like, and it is fucking slow. Like slow. Like literally one of those stalks have the potential to take a full day.
They do easily. But then I also know when I can shoot a deer in 5 minutes if the circumstances are right, which rarely happen. But when they do, it's like the stag, for example, just recently, all day the wind was fucking horrendous.
You'll say his name.
Charles. Prince Charles. But yeah, all day the wind was horrendous.
Delicious motherfucker.
This was the 3rd stalk I'd had on this deer. And I'd probably hadn't like properly stalked him because I knew the wind was shit, so I was sitting off him. And then the wind still swirled and scared deer that were on the periphery, which barked, and then they ran off, and he saw them and was like, oh, fuck, okay, there's something going on, ran off. So, yeah, there were 3 stalks until I then I saw him and I'm like, okay, I'd been playing the hesitant game, trying to wait off him. This time the wind is the best it's been all trip, like was blowing slightly in my my face. I was like, I'm literally going to make the most of this and just fucking in there. Got to 30 meters. I think I ranged him at 35 and was behind like a tree. And it's cool because I videoed a lot of this on my phone. Like I find it like almost like it's hard to not film with a proper camera gear when you've got it. Yeah. But I also felt that because I'd just finished exams and it was the first time hunting, like I just wanted to sort of almost be hunt, like authentic and just hunt a little bit and just almost results driven and try and get meat in the freezer and stuff. But I also did say that if there's opportunity, I'm just going to film so that I can show people like what I was doing. So in the end, I haven't really gone through all the footage and stuff, but there'd be like tens of minutes of cool footage up close with deer and stuff that I'll end up putting on like an Instagram story on my Insta or something, and I'll make sure I label it like Chiddle Hunt or something like that if anyone wants to watch it. But like I've used my phone through my rangefinder, show everyone like, you know, it's at 35 meters, and then you see like in the next little scene I leave that tree because what happened was the hinds were bedded at 20 meters from me, like closer to than the stag. He was feeding at the last available shade. They get up and start feeding away, and straight away I'm like, okay, if I don't move here, like I had bugger all cover. I was pretty much at the last of my vertical cover. I was like, if I don't move here, that's just instincts of telling me like he's going to get up and follow those hinds. And within about 30 seconds, I'd made 6 to 8 meters. So I got to within 30 or 28 meters. I knew I was like in that range. And as soon as he stood up, he fed, he had a bit of a shake, and then he turned to walk towards those hinds, and I just went, threaded the arrow and took out his heart, funny enough, like when I was doing the butchering and stuff, and he made it 40 metres. But it's just, that took, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes, that stalk.
Yep.
Whereas previous stalks
Well, the one we went was like...
previous stalks.
Nearly 5 hours.
I stalked him, funny enough, earlier that day.
Yeah.
And I think that hunt went for about 6 hours. And then I went, fuck it. I was a bit fed up, but I went, I'm not going back to camp and dwelling and fucking, sitting there and going to win shit. I'm going to go drive till I can't drive anymore down like the only track, do a 4K loop. And then as soon as the wind hits my face, I'm going to cut back to where I want to be. I was using a map on my phone, an app, and went, that's where I want to be, dropped a pin, lined it up, and just walked in that direction slowly, like methodically, glassing like as I do. But it was the first time in the whole trip that I felt like the wind was actually half decent.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I just need to see a deer like that I want to shoot, and it's dead. Like I just had that feeling like that you get when you're doing the right things. And then popped up over a bit of basalt, had a really nice half-grown velvet stag, which I'll show you footage of in that story, at 30 metres, got into 30 and passed him up just because he was half-grown. And like you don't know what potential he's going to have sort of thing, so I left him. And I wasn't, again, desperate. It was just nice seeing deer and stuff. Yeah. Popped down off the ridge, undisturbed, left them, literally went over the next basalt ridge, and Charles is sitting there about 2 Ks, a K and a half from where I'd put him up that morning after that long stalk, where, funny enough, I had him at 35 metres again and have footage of him on my phone through the binos and everything. And then there was 3 hinds just to my left at 30 metres as well. And the wind swirls for about 3 seconds, and I felt it swirl, so I got my camera out and I'm like videoing like this is fucked. Videoed the hinds. One of the hinds, you see him like sniff, start lifting their head. She runs off down the basalt, pan the phone back over to Charles, and he and the hind that he was with, like, look at them and go, fuck, and run off. And, like, a lot of people would go, like, why are you videoing that on your phone? You should have had your bow ready. But when he stood from his bed at 35, but the second a deer at 35, like that, stands knowing that the other deer have run off, there's no fucking chance I'm letting that arrow fly because they duck the string and,
Well, to give that a bit of context, when we went, so...
We went the previous week.
Yeah, the timeline of this, we went the previous week. We came home, gave it a day. Ayden got itchy feet and went back out there solo and got it done. But before that, run through that stalk. So I'm pretty confident. Like I was confident that it's the same deer.
Yeah, I think it is.
So
basically, Wade and I went out, and admittedly, we probably stalked more deer that. Like, I was trying to show Wade, like, how we stalk and, like, this is what I'd do in this scenario and stuff, rather than probably just going and looking for the right stalk to do, if that makes sense. But fortunately, we just lucked on to, I think we'd literally gone and the wind was shit. We got busted by velvet stags early that morning. Just as, again, we sat off them, and as soon as we started walking, I was like, fuck, the wind seems all right. The wind swirled and just blew straight to them. Through the binos, I see one stag start smelling, and then the next stag starts smelling, and then they all run off, and you just see white tails running away. Anyway, we went and had a bite to eat, packed up camp because we were leaving that night, and went and tried a new section of the property, and basically come onto these stags, another bachelor mob, and we sat there for 2 hours, I reckon, without even fucking moving, because we were like... It's more risky to try and the wind was just shit. We didn't know what was over the basalt, so I didn't want to go up there to try and circle and scare more deer, which might scare these guys. So we just sat there until the wind was half consistent. And then we got in, and I think I dropped Wade off at maybe 100 metres or something like that, because I was sort of in the mindset of we both wanted meat. We had 3 freeze eskies in the car.
Yeah. I was committed to the cause by that point. I was like, I'll just sit back and film with the telly on. I was like,
ready to murder. You were like, shoot.
Well, this motherfucker's got to go.
Yeah. And funny enough, these deer were both massive, 30-inch models. Long story short, they bedded in the middle of the open, under some iron barks.
Most random spot.
It was
What about that cow?
Yeah. So from the get-go, the wind was shit. The wind was terrible. I pretty much knew that, like, this was our best chance just because on this particular property, any deer in hard antler were probably with 60 hinds just for this time of year, whereas the bachelor mobs were generally in, like, 10s to 15s, which happened to be this same mob. And these two stags were both in hard velvet. Anyway, long story short, I dropped weight off, snuck into a tree that I ranged from like 200 meters away, and it said like 190 and then 140. And I was like, fuck, that doesn't look right. But through the binoculars, it looked super close. But the rangefinder was true, saying that the last cover was 50 meters from those deer. So I should have trusted it, but I did get into 50 meters relatively quick because it was like a good tree, and I was able to like account with the binoculars, as I said earlier, taking a step, glassing like with the binoculars at my eye, taking a step, just accounting for every single eye under that little bit of shade. Anyway, long story short, got to 50, sit there, and then a fucking cow walks through that had been eyeing me off for the previous like 2 hours.
That's the most fuck cow I've ever seen.
Oh, it was just frustrating.
It's like deliberately, it deliberately moved the deer at the start.
Yeah, it then got them up again. So then they moved to the other side of the tree and further away on the wrong side, like on the edge of the shade, which meant they were all a bit angsty, like because they had flies bothering them. They were in the sun a little bit, like they previously were content in good shade. Anyway, long story short, and like it's a bit of a thing that I hate doing, but I was explaining to Wade that a lot of my movements at deer when they're bedded are dead straight, like as in line with them. I'll line up a tree or a tree line, and if I'm going to make any lateral or horizontal movements, I do that from over 200 meters away. I hate moving left or right if the deer are in front of me, just because if you imagine if you've got like your eyes closed and you're like relaxed and you see something very slowly, one step at a time over minutes, walking your direction in a straight line, you're not really going to pick it up, that movement. Whereas if you see something moving a step left and a step right over like 3 minutes, you're going to be like, fuck, that shape was 5 meters back to the left or right. Like, it's just common sense, in my opinion. Like, it's harder to pick something up that's moving left or that's moving straight and at you. Like, the profile doesn't change. It gets closer and further, but it doesn't actually change in shape or anything. Yeah. Or plus, like, you can't use trees and be like, oh, it was closer to that tree 5 minutes ago, or that termite mound, now it's over there. Like, I do it with deer and stuff. I'm like, where was that deer again? I'm like, oh, there's that termite mound, which means it should be there. Oh, yeah, there it is. Even if I've changed the angle completely on something from miles away. Anyway, that's just a philosophy that I have, may or may not be true. But like in this case, when I got to 50 meters and it was the last cover, I went, oh, fuck. Like, okay, range their tree 50 meters, 52 meters, whatever it was. Range the next closest tree that was closest to that tree. And it ended up being 28 meters. But the issue was that if you imagine the way I'm sitting right now, Wade's in front of me, which is where the deer were. And then to my sort of 9 or between 9 and 12 o'clock, maybe say 10, there was another tree at 28 meters from those deer or from Wade. So I had to almost walk backwards so that the distance increased and then walk left about 60 meters pretty much horizontally and then walk straight in to get that vertical movement again. So that took 20 minutes to do because I literally was glassing the exact same time, and I wasn't even lifting my feet up to move. I was just sliding them so that nothing actually changed except for like I was moving left to right, but my knees didn't bend, nothing moved except for like my feet just shimmied. And that took like 20 minutes in I don't know how many degree heat. Like it's very taxing without being physically demanding. Like it's weird.
You're so static, man. You're so static.
And like bent over and you're uncomfortable when you hit your bows resting on your hips, your biceps are like flex the whole time. Like it's just little shit that you don't account for until you're like, fuck, I'm wrecked at the end of the day.
Yeah, like literally imagine like staring in the blinding sun with no sunglasses, tensing every piece of your body, trying to stand still with your feet together on unstable ground. It's like, it's fucked up.
Fuck. What about earlier
They're
that
fucking
trip,
butt scooting across that fucking mud
the
flat.
day before, like taking away, I've still got fucking like scars on my knuckles.
It was bad.
They're literally like skin was removed, bleeding
Yeah.
from the hot basalt and hot ground, like lava fucking flowed, where we were like scooting across an open flat because that was the only way we could get in. And like, it was just something that we just did and then fucking
Like
deal with it later on. Like, it doesn't matter.
Dog with worms is basically what it looked like, but slower.
Yeah.
I had a FX6 on my lap. You had your bow on yours, and we were just like butt scooting along this. What's that shit called with the spines? Mimosa.
It's like a big acacia sort of bush shrub.
Nasty shit.
But you think like shrubs from Africa where they
Antelope eat them.
yeah,
and shit.
they're like massive with the big thorns and stuff. Anyway.
Exactly that, but in your asshole. Pretty much.
Yeah. Anyway, so I get to that next cover over a fair bit of time and I'm at 28 meters and I'm thinking, fuck yeah, this is beautiful. And actually, to premise all this, I'd said to Wade, I'm really keen to shoot something. Like being lustful and honest, I was keen to shoot something. But I also said to him, I'm not shooting 30 meters because I hadn't been shooting as consistently as I would have liked with uni, having just finished, and like I was totally devoted to exams. I wasn't shooting my bow every day like I should have been, and I didn't like know when my next hunt was going to be, sort of thing. Like I wasn't focused on hunting like I am now, or like I am in everyday life. So that was knowing that, I said to myself, I'm not shooting 30 meters. Anyway, long story short, I get to 28, 30, and I'm ranging the deer, going fuck, like they're literally bedded in such short grass. I could smoke this deer bedded where he's like, it's fine. And then I'm sitting there going, no, you said to yourself, you're not shooting 30. So I waited it out, waited for probably an hour or so. A couple of spikers got up, started milling around. One of the big stags got up at 30. Again, could have shot him easily, but then there's other deer bedded in front of him, like towards in between us. And I said I wasn't going to shoot 30. Long story short, over the next 15, 20 minutes, they all get up and start feeding away. And I go, okay, fuck, maybe that's the end of the stalk, maybe not. I did everything I could have. I'm just going to sit here and wait, like not rush, because again, experience has told me that percentage-wise, I can try and make a little hero fucking shimmy maneuver and beat 10 to 15 sets of eyes as they're feeding in extremely short grass and try and close 10 meters and shoot one of these deer at 20. Or I can sit here, be patient, look around and go, there's fuck all shade anywhere else. The most likely chance is that they're going to come back. Anyway, after about 20 minutes, 30 minutes of them feeding, I'm going, fuck, maybe I should have done a hero shimmy and second guessing. But I'm like, no, I chose not to and I'm comfortable with that. And that's, at the end of the day, I think what's taught me a lot of it. And like, it comes back to even diving and stuff, and like it's a bit of a tangent, but I'm very comfortable with not pulling the trigger or not shooting or not having, like, I've got an end result, but as long as I do everything I can to achieve that and put the hard work in, for me, like, I'd much rather not shoot at a deer than shoot and hit one and miss it and like lose it or whatever. Like doing something I could have controlled, or being like, no, I haven't shot 40 meters and I limit myself to 30 normally, but I'm going to shoot 40 today because I really want to shoot that deer. Like that's just like a non-negotiable for me, that I go, okay, I'm not doing that regardless. Maybe if I fuck up a shot at 20 or 30 and I have to put this animal down at 40, like I've practiced to do it and can do it, but I'm not going to do it unless like I have to, if that makes sense. And to shoot a deer the first time, I don't have to. So anyway, they fed off, and for 20 or 30 minutes they were feeding away. And I went, fuck it. While they're feeding away, it's less of a hero maneuver because they're now like 100 meters away. And I kept looking. I'm like, there's no cover anywhere else. I'm going to get into that tree that they were all bedded under, because the way that the angle was, and coming into like the sort of later stages of the afternoon, the actual shadows were like 20 meters away from that tree, even though like if you can imagine, the sun at 12 o'clock is like directly above. So a tree with a 5 meter diameter is going to have 5 meters of shadow. Whereas in the afternoon, when the sun's at like a 45 degree angle, not directly above a tree, that shadow is casting like a long, long way away, whichever direction behind the tree, from the sun. And in this instance, it cast out 20 meters from that tree. Like I ranged the edge of the shadows where there were a few rocks and bushes, and I'm thinking, fuck yeah, if these deer come back, they're fucked.
Yeah.
And I literally did that little ass shimmy thing on my hands that were fucking bleeding.
I seen you get down and do it again, and I was like, oh.
And I did it quick. Like, again, that's where that instinctive, like, my previous movements for the previous few hours were like 1 step a minute. And then this shimmy, I was like, I need to get to that tree while they're feeding, because if they turn on a dime, they're going to come back to this shade and I'm going to be caught in no man's land. I'm fucked. But I need to do it quick enough where I'm stealthy, but not fast enough where I'm making a lot of movement or noise and stuff. Anyway, get to this tree and I'm like, beautiful, range everything around me before the deer even had made a turn. And then as luck would have it, about a minute or two later, the deer start turning and I'm like, they're coming back. Like, I just knew it. Set my pins up, set everything up, had my angles for where I could draw back. I said to myself, if he stands there, I'm going to shoot there. Had everything set up perfect. Didn't have to touch rangefinder, didn't have to touch binoculars. Everything was sealed back in my bag. I'm like, this is good. Again, hopefully it works. They could turn on the dime again and feed the opposite direction into the afternoon. It's that stage of the afternoon. I'm content with that. Excuse me, I can live with that. Like, that's fine. And these are all like scenarios that are playing out in my head. Anyway, long story short, I keep saying that, but it's a long story. It's not that short. These deer come back in. There's 2 giant stags and a mob of like 10 to 15. A couple of stags come in and there's like one tiny mimosa bush at 30 meters, 2 or 3 deer bed there and take up all the available shade. And I'm going, okay, beautiful, that's fine. The 2 big stags are still feeding, one being Charles, which is this stag that we named. Anyway, he feeds into, I think it was just over 20. It was like 23. No, that's right. I ranged the bush at 30. I ranged something else at like 27, and then I ranged something else at 20. So I knew that if he was between those, he was between 20 and 27. And I was confident, like, shooting that distance. Anyway, long story short, he comes in, feeds broadside, and I'm sitting there going, beautiful. Everything else is feeding or bedded, and like, you know, you're doing like head checks without actually moving your head. You just like you're just looking and peering with your eyes very, very slowly. Charles comes in, feeds broadside, extends his like left leg forward and presents like a beautiful broadside shot. And I was already at full draw, had everything ready to go, squeezed off the shot, and I just watched the arrow like fly to where he was, and then pretty much like lost it to the point where like I'm fairly sure like when you like it's microseconds. And I was going to ask you this with your buff, which I will in a second, but like it's weird when you draw back on an animal and you're going to take that shot. I know, at least for me anyway, I don't shoot, like touch that trigger or pull that trigger or whatever unless I'm 100% confident in my head. Obviously, that's not 100% reality. Like, there's so many factors that can happen. Like, you could hit a fucking branch that you just didn't see, but I wouldn't shoot if I saw that branch or whatever. Like, there's things that I can control that to that point I'm 100% convinced, I'm sure. Anyway, in this instance, I shoot, and that deer in subconscious, like I'm pretty sure he turned and dropped at the same time to that shot, and the arrow basically went through where I thought he was, and I was like, beautiful. In my head, I was like, the way I processed it, I was like, cool, watched him. He ran about 30 meters and he started almost like what looked like wobbling, like, but I think he was on hot basalt, so he was like shifting his weight. And then he turned broadside and started barking, and I'm going, okay, that's weird. But sometimes deer...
Was it him that was barking?
Yeah, sometimes deer... It was only him, which again, I was like, okay, maybe he has been hit, because sometimes deer, when they're hit, will bark. Like, because they're like, what's wrong? This is weird. Like, boo, boo, and bark. Anyway, he turned left, and I saw where the entry should have been. There was no hole. He turned right, broadside, looking the other way, and I saw where the exit should have been. There was no hole. And I'm looking back, and I'm like, there's a perfectly white, clean-fletched arrow in the ground just past where he was, like, in the right line. I'm like, wow, this is so weird. Anyway, in hindsight, he ducked and dropped and turned and ducked the string, and the arrow completely evaded him. And in hindsight as well, like, which maybe because I hadn't hunted much beforehand, but like I was the only thing I can explain him being alert was because he had no idea I was there. But for the previous 10 minutes, every minute roughly, there'd been one butcher bird that was sitting in the tree above me that would just let out a call. And for the first 2 or 3 calls, the deer in the mob looked up and went, "Oh, what's that?" as they were feeding back to me. Went like, "Oh, is there something there?" "No, all good." Kept feeding. And then about a minute later, "Oh, is there something there?" "No, all good." And then after 2 or 3 times, they almost get like desensitized to it because they're like, "No, that butcher bird's just carrying on. There's nothing there. I've checked it a few times." But being so wide, and I think being hunted by like tigers back in India, these deer, like intrinsically, they probably don't even know it. The same that I didn't acknowledge it and pick up on it. I think that's the only thing that like had him slightly like highly strung.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Yeah,
I was like not. I was shattered, but I was also so thankful that
Didn't wound him.
it didn't wound him. And like you and I had words for fucking the whole time.
Yeah.
Driving home, and like I think I come out for dinner the next night or something, and we were just chatting again, and I was like down and out on myself purely because I was just like, I know in my heart of hearts that I don't shoot at animals unless I'm 100% confident.
Yeah.
And then my rationale was that for me to be so confident that that was going to kill him, shoot him through the heart or lungs and have him run 30 meters and fall over, I was so confident on that, and the arrow completely missed. The exact opposite of that is for that arrow to hit him in the guts and him run a K away, and we lose him, and that mate be wasted and he die a slow and painful death.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, it was like hard to digest that because I was like, it worked out favorably, but it also could have worked out so unfavorably.
Yeah.
But you were massive, like in terms of just like reiterating that the intention was right and that not everything is under my control. But it's just, again, like something that can happen. Fortunately, it didn't. Learn from that. And anyway, like I went and just fucking like shot like a demon the next couple of days.
I think
dialed in
and
like, made sure that I was, like.
And I think that like that, well, it was sort of a favour, it sort of wasn't, like it was out of your control. But I think that happening like optimised you for the second opportunity that you had, with which what I'm pretty sure is the same stag.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only reason we don't know is because he was velvet that time, and then now
he was velvet, and then in timeline it's 3 days later when I first saw him, he wasn't velvet.
Yeah, rubbed off.
But I watched this trip, particularly when you didn't come. There were 2 stags that had strips of velvet on them, went up to a mimosa bush, and both of them were rubbing different bushes for like 10 to 15 minutes and come out and their antlers were like shiny, like no velvet, nothing. So it's like they can sit there, and I think that's why they rub those mimosas, is because they're like elastic and flexible, and they can get in there in the thorns and the brush and all that, clean their antlers. Off. Whereas if you imagine they're rubbing like a hardwood, like a eucalypt or an ironbark or whatever, they're going to strengthen their neck and stuff, but they're not necessarily like ripping the velvet off. Whereas this deer that I did shoot, the size is the same, the maturity is the same, massive animal, fresh out of velvet, like everything sort of
similar
matches
scale up. Too, like that. One antler short, like slightly shorter than the other.
Antler, characteristics are very similar.
We'll just say it was, because I'm pretty sure it looks fucking.
I'll look back at the footage a bit closely because I've got footage of both. Like on one, I videoed him on camera this last trip, like proper camera, so I can look at his ears compared to the footage I got through the binoculars the previous trip.
Yeah.
And see if their ears have any rips and things like that, because that's probably the most accurate way of doing it. Aside from like you've got antler characteristics which gives you like an inkling into they're pretty similar. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, that guy looks like Wade, but now I'm going to go look at his birth certificate. So, and like generally, like if a deer has the same antler characteristics and then a rip in both same places on the left ear, it's probably the same deer.
Yeah. And it was in the same area too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was bloody good feeling to just go out and have a bit of intent to like hunt hard, do everything. I don't know, it was weird hunting by myself because in my head I was just like...
I was sad.
I was trying to like think about how to be approaching the stalks if you were there, like probably slower and like trying to explain things, whereas this was just like... It took me the first day to be like, I felt guilty that you weren't there almost. It was like trying to film everything with the camera to get some footage. And then did that and ticked that off. And then I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go hunt like now and try and get something on the deck because I desperately needed meat. My freezer was empty from uni, like not hunting for so long. And then, yeah, by the time this is out, the Insta story will probably be out. But yeah, to be able to successfully take like a hind one day, take all that meat out and then shoot the stag the next day and take all the meat out was bloody super rewarding. And then like, yeah, it was just, everything went perfectly. It was hard, like a hard hunt in terms of like the wind was terrible, which is like one of the biggest things. You can tell me there's going to be heaps of deer or the deer are going to be spooky. I'm not only going to see 5 deer a day and I'm fine with that. But if you say the wind's shit, that's like what is the hardest thing because I can't control that. Whereas I can control how much effort I put in to find a deer or something, that's fine. Like that's standard sort of. But back to... I touched on it a little bit with Charles and like when you're 100% confident and like you squeeze off that shot and despite being 100% confident, there's always that like tiny little bit of uncertainty.
Every time, yeah.
Did you have that with your buff? Where like I remember vividly with that big stag I shot a couple of years ago, the arrow got there that quickly and in my head had seen it. The arrow goes straight through his heart, but it didn't process it. And then he literally jumped over a log, took a few steps and fell over. And I was like, is that it? Like, what? But it's shocking to me that like it took me seconds for my brain to fill in what my eyes had seen almost. Yep. Whereas I should have known that was going to be the result because I wouldn't have shot if I wasn't 100% confident. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, there's
100%.
that weird... Like you shoot me like, oh, what's going to happen? But you know what should happen.
Yeah. It's like your brain's catching up.
Yeah.
I with that buff it was the same because the bull basically in the short story is the bull basically almost walked on top of me, but I couldn't get a shot because I was standing in amongst this thicket of just burnt out sticks and shit. There was no chance to me even, and plus it was facing me, like it was a silly thing to do to even think about drawing. So, and it's sort of like broadside and walk past. I ranged at like 30 something, 35, 38. Didn't take the shot because I didn't feel 100% confident. I probably could have, like probably a better bow hunter would have taken the shot and shot the animal cleanly. But I chose not to because the wind was pretty good the whole time. And I was like, I got heaps of time and I'm going to take my time and I'm not, like if I don't get it, it's, so be it, like it's a learning opportunity for me. So then I got to a point where I stalked it to a point where there was this one gum tree, eucalypt tree on this massive flat of just spindly little busted ass trees. And it was just the one tree that just was in the perfect position and allowed me to go to full draw. And I was basically stood out the buff, like full did a 180, turned around and started facing back the way it came from. And I felt super comfortable, anchored, thought about everything, but not thought about it. Like because like, as you know, I was like shooting heaps at home, just practicing, because I knew this trip was coming up. And I was like, was thinking about shit, but I was thinking about shit, but also doing it automatically at the same time. And I ranged at 34 at that time, and I was like, nah, I feel good. Waited till the buff took a step, so obviously opened its vitals, I suppose. Took the shot, watched it through the sight because I cooked. Actually, sorry, I should have went back a few steps. I cooked on a couple of pigs, but it was like borderline dark the day before. Cooked on a couple of pigs really late in the day, lost a bit of confidence, shot early in the morning at about 30, just on a little target that we took with us, and felt a bit better about stuff and just tweaked a few things. So my mate's a pretty good bow hunter, so he picked a few bits and pieces that could be improved on me, applied those, and then went, and this situation got to this point, ranged out 34, waited till it took a step, shot, watched the arrow hit through the sight, maybe a tad high, but still pretty spot on, and still was like, fuck, like, did I fuck that up? And then the buff sort of like did a little pirouette and mucked around, and then it showed the other side of it, and I seen blood on that side as well, and I was like, oh no, I shot through, I'm sweet. Yeah. And once I seen the other side of the buff, I was like, no, I'm good. But like, to reinforce what you're saying, like I had doubt all the way up until I seen the other side of the buff and blood on the other side of the buff to know I double lunged it, because they're obviously a big animal, and they like to get them to go down in any quick period of time, you need to almost double lung them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right up until the point where I saw the other lung was when I was like in doubt of myself.
Yeah.
The whole time, basically.
It's an unnerving sort of feeling, but it's weird how you can be so confident, and then for a brief second you're like, and you're like, oh no, that's right. That's literally what I intended. That's why it should be like that.
You're confident because you've put in the work, I feel, but you're also like shitting yourself at the same time. It's a weird 50-50 thing where you're like your conscious brain is like shitting bricks and going like, I'm going to fuck it. But your subconscious brain, because you've put in so much practice and work.
It's like muscle memory.
Yeah, it knows what to do. Like I knew when to draw, but I didn't think of when to draw. Mm-hmm. I knew where to aim, but I didn't think of where to aim, type thing. Like it's weird. Which is why I think I'm so addicted to it. So like it's immersive.
Yeah, good. I was going to ask you what's next for you in terms of bow hunting, like ticking on, like 2023 is coming up. If there's 3 things that you want to, one big hunt, one like just something that you want to get constant at, like, or it doesn't even have to break up into that. 3 things.
3 things. Chiddle. I definitely want to shoot a nice stag. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to do it in a hurry. Like I'd rather just wait. Like if I see a 29 and know there's a 30, I'd rather just not shoot for 12 months and chase the target the 30. And if I don't get the 30 for 3 years, so be it. Like I know there's a 30 there, and I'll chase the 30 till I get the 30.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, that's a bit of a stretch, but like the concept of it, I guess. Pigs I'll probably try and target, but I have no huge desire to chase trophy boars or anything like that. I'll probably do it for just to learn to stalk better and all that, like improvement, I guess.
Anatomy is a big thing on that.
Like,
you can shoot, for example, a pig, 20 pigs, and have 20 different responses to the same shot.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like shooting something through the lungs 20 times could be different in 20 different individual animals. And then 20 different blood trails. And some pigs you'll shoot through the double lungs and they'll run 5 meters. Others you'll shoot and they'll run 100 meters. Others you'll shoot, they'll start fighting the boar next to them and fall over. Others you'll shoot and they don't even react. You're like, did I miss? And then you go over and they're dead. Like you're like, what? They go into a bush and you're like, oh shit, it's right there, it's dead. Others, depending on inspiration, expiration, alertness, if it's been belted by a big boar, some will scream, some will go and not even do anything. Like it's just literally, it's important, like without making it sound like a numbers game or anything, but to shoot a number of things and observe what happened, why it happened, and blood trailing things. Like both of these chiddle that I shot just the other day, I watched go down within sight, within 30 metres and 45 metres. And both of them I walked the blood trail just to have a look at the blood, and the difference was like one was a lung shot, one was a heart shot. And one had darker, more frothy, aerated blood. One had more arterial, red, saturated blood with less bubbles.
And that was when you hit
And one was like, looked like someone had splashed a paint can over the basalt. One looked like it was just like big patches of blood, like drops, and then it would stop. And then 5 meters away, big patches of blood, and then it would stop. And then big patches of blood, and then it would stop. And it was like obviously where it inspirated and expirated.
Yeah.
And then the other one was just like blood pumping from the heart, and it was just everywhere. One was a rather peaceful kill in the sense, like both were peaceful kills, no idea I was there or anything like that. But the lung shot was like the hind was there, outstretched leg, like quartering away, shot her from in the lungs, out the lungs on the other side. she crossed over a little spring, like jumped over the spring, jumped back, like ran 10 meters, jumped back over the spring, and then stood there, got the wobbly sort of boot gait or whatever, like a bit unsteady in the legs, and fell over, like 10 seconds max. And then the whole, like both instances, it's funny, you see in the video, but the mobs, because mobs, are sitting there going, boo, boo. Like, what the fuck's happened to Nancy? What's happened to Charles? Had no idea I was there until I was like, okay, I need to go and retrieve this meat. Like, piss off.
Go away.
They had no idea. There was the hind I shot, literally wedge-tailed eagles landed on the ground trying to eat her. Crows were sitting there while there was about 60 deer. I've got this on video.
Where the fuck do they come from, man? Like
crows
and blowflies.
Dude, I could see through the binos like the crow trying to peck her eyes. So I'm sitting there waving, trying to get this crow to piss off without scaring 60 deer, because I'm sitting there going, this is so cool seeing them like interact. It was just cool to see them. I don't know if cool's the right word, obviously, because they're friends. Well, I don't know how they think about it, but like it'd be like me and all my 60 mates of ours watching you laying there as a dead thing
person
now. And they're sitting there, and then some of them are feeding, some of them are going like boo, 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 like not knowing. Like it was just weird. Some are chasing the crows. Like it was such a strange encounter that I was like, not desperate to like end this right now by walking over and starting to butcher her up and clean her up and stuff. And then, as I said, with the stag, like as a totally different result, it was like, typical of a heart shot where they go like almost do a bit of a lean up, like gallop, run as hard as they can, head down, like legs galloping as fast as they can, and then just an abrupt crash. Yeah. Because they've run out of like blood delivering that oxygen. So both like super humane, quick, clean kills, but just totally different, and knowing the importance of each and different and how you'd, so it was just, I checked the blood trials of both because it was just stuff that I haven't been in the bush for that long, like lately. So it's like cool to see that. And it's just value
add too. Yeah. It's just value add to the whole situation. That's what I think I like about it so much. The whole, I feel like the kill is like the necessary end to it. It's not the start of it or the key point of the whole thing.
On that, you've got this idea in your head of like, I want to go away and I want to shoot a deer for meat.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to shoot it for. As long as it's legal and ethical, like you're doing it with your best intentions, I don't care. You could want to shoot the biggest deer and that's it. And you might not even eat meat. But I hope you harvest it meat and give it to someone that will, not just let it rot. But you could have whatever intention you want, for example. But it's just like, if you have that as your end goal, it's all good. But stop and like reflect every little like thing along the way. Well, because you get so much more out of it. Yeah.
Well, with Chiddle, like, if you don't understand the process, you will never shoot one.
Yeah.
You will not. I'm fucked if you will, unless you're the luckiest motherfucker ever.
For sure. You could sit in like the creek, for example, and have deer walk past you and just lob an arrow, and eventually you'll get one. You'll probably main 10. But
they are the most...
It depends on what you're out there for.
Physically optimized creature I have ever seen in my entire life. They're next level. They're like... They're better than horses. Like, and horses sound really fucked up, but like horses will see you from a million mile away. Or hear, I don't know if that's hear, smell, what it is, but like,
they're pretty switched on.
You'll walk through and you'll see horses will pick you up from 500 meters away, and you like everything else will be just like ruse, and everything else will just be sort of cruising around.
Well, Chiddle are hunted by tigers.
Yeah.
Like in their home range. Like, it's imagine being fucking hunted by tigers.
It'd be pretty fucked up. Like walking around trying to eat and then like something
at all times of the day. It's like you are going to rely on that fucking baboon in the tree saying fucking there's a fucking tiger down there, stripey fucking cat. Like you're gonna be tuned in, and if you're not, you're gonna get fucking eaten, and then the ones that are gonna live on and pass their genes. Like at the end of the day, that's what's they've come over, but there's still birds that do that. And
that's why there's so many of them everywhere.
Yeah, you see wedge-tailed eagles try and eat the fawns, and the deer like mob up, and then they like I remember someone saying like, "Oh, just hunt from a tree stand. They don't look up." Fuck, they don't look up. They hear a wing flutter and they're like looking up. Chiddle deer are fart.
Yeah, they seem just the sheer amount of effort and work, and like you have to be switched on. You cannot make a single mistake, and even if they don't see you, they're on edge, and that like that led to, like, it wasn't even particularly your fault. It's just those birds being fuckheads.
Yeah.
Literally, like, led to that deer not knowing you were there, but was peeking, so it ducked the string. Like,
Yeah.
if
It's
that,
weird
yeah.
though, because like I look at chital deer and I go, yes, they're hard, and yes, there's a lot of work involved, but for me, they're predictable, which almost makes them easy because I've got that process.
Yeah,
Like I nearly in my head had no doubt I'd get a deer when I went out.
yeah,
It was just do what I know works and it
Yeah.
will happen.
that makes sense.
And it was the same as when I targeted that big stag. I remember saying to James and Nick and my dad and all these people that were in my inner circle, because they knew I'd videoed him 2 months before and I was out for 8 weekends in a row trying to find him, like, between uni. And I just said, I hadn't seen him. I just said, I need to just see him again and I'll kill him. Like,
Yeah.
that was, I remember saying that to James and a few people. And as soon as I saw him, he was dead within 15 minutes. After 2 months of trying to
Yeah.
find this fucking one deer, end up finding him and he was dead within 15 minutes. Just because it lined up, like, but it was still super, like, difficult stalk, and we speak about it in the
Yeah.
first potty. But, like, I look back on that and I'm like, I just have confidence in that process because it's worked for me for so, like, I've fine-tuned it. But then through hunting chital deer, I can take so many of those same lessons to, like, sambar deer, for example, are very similar, but instead of having 60 deer in a mob, you might have maybe 2 to 3 or 4 or 5.
Yep.
But what makes them difficult is that they're in the hills, which are more wind, like the wind's more swirly,
Yeah.
and like they're on, like they're just, it's just a different beast in a different area, but same principles, I guess. And then you get reds and fallow that you can call in, which makes them fucking incrementally easier, in my opinion. Like, I've never not gone to the rut or whatever and not shot a chital, a fallow deer or whatever, and I haven't had that much experience with them. It's the same as, like, buffalo for me aren't, like, the most switched on deer, switched on species.
Yeah.
But there's things about them that make them incredibly difficult.
I
if
feel like
they
it's-
notice you there,
You're fucked.
you basically, like, walk away because you're gonna have to force a shot on an animal that's quartering on. Like,
And they just
there's certain
fucking
things
stare.
about, that's where, like, when people say, like, oh, that's easy, or there are certainly animals that have tendencies to be easier, but nothing hunting wise.
It's your knowledge of
like,
it.
Yeah.
It's no different to It's no different than anything you did. Like, the more you know, the better off you are,
Yeah.
I suppose.
What's your third one?
My third one is something hard. Like, I like the idea of tar, bow hunting tar,
I was literally, as soon as you said hard, I was like, I reckon you'd really like.
mountain shit,
New Zealand.
like fucking something difficult, like physically demanding that affects your mental.
But that's where, like, the scenery comes into it.
Yeah.
And the camaraderie if you go with people, and the camping,
Yeah.
and the everything that you are living out of or with is on your backpack.
Yeah.
And, like,
Fuck, I'm gonna have
the
to pause this.
hunting-
I'm about to piss myself. I'm
I'll talk to myself.
Pause. Or you can if you want to. I'm gonna have to pause. All right, I'm back. I could not hold that any longer. I am terribly sorry. That ruined the flow of everything. But I definitely want to do, and I think I've spoken to you about this before. I definitely want to do something physically demanding. Like, the buff hunt was fucking hard, but in the grand scheme of bow hunting, it's easy, basically. I want to do, like, mountain shit, something, like physically demanding more than, because my understanding of tar, and I'm not, I've never even seen one close, but most people I've spoken to about them said the animal themselves are just like a goat. Like, they're no different than any other goat. They're reasonably easy as long as you're doing the right things. It's the actual location of where they are, because they're in the New Zealand
I'd agree
Alps,
with
like in the
that.
middle of fucking nowhere, up in the middle of the mountains, hard to get to. All that sort of stuff is the hardest part of the whole thing. The actual shooting of the animal, if you can get to range, is, like,
Yeah.
easy. Yeah. And I think you were saying, what were you saying before? I needed to go to the loo.
Oh, about the, like, camaraderie and just
Yeah,
all that.
the team works up.
again, like, the hunting is almost secondary to, like, you wake up in
The
the morning,
trip.
look out of your tent, and you're like, fuck, I'm on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, and I'm going to go and try and hunt a tar.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're also like, there's a Kia trying to rip apart my tent. The winds are blowing,
Wait,
and I've
how
got to
fucked
secure
are those things, man?
Dude, they're savage, man.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay, what's the weather forecast? Like, cool. It's clear, but the wind has the potential to blow my tent away if I don't secure it. So you spend 15 minutes in the morning and it's cold, icy cold, securing your tent. And then you're like, all right, cool. Now I'm going to like go look for water to make breakfast or a coffee or whatever. And like you're factoring in like how much torchlight you have left, how much gas you've got for your jet boil, how much food you've got, how many calories you ate yesterday so that you wake up not sore the next day. And like it's just like those sort of hunts develop you so much more so that like when you go and do these hunts that are in your backyard, you're like adapted to do them and do them well and efficiently and not waste time, and also learn what gear works, what doesn't work, and develop. Because like when you become addicted to it like we are now, you don't have time for shit gear that, you know, might be cheaper
1%ers,
but it's going to fucking get waterlogged and then you're going to be uncomfortable and potentially get hypothermia in New Zealand. Like shit like that. It's just, like you look back as you do it and you're like, what's changed? And it's like the animals haven't changed that much. We've got better gear, which helps a lot. But like if you don't know how to apply the knowledge to hunting that animal, it all means shit. Like you can have the best gear and fucking not work hard and not know animals and you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
You get out of the car park and you'll have a comfortable camping session, but you're not going to see anything. Whereas if you know like, oh, okay, where are the tahr feeding from? Where are they living? What plants they're eating? Again, all that sort of stuff that you can relate to any species. You work it out, the picture pretty quickly. That's cool. So. I think you'd like New Zealand.
I think the journey side of it is what interests me most out of the whole thing. I like, and the other side of it too is like having meat. Like, and I think that's why I like fishing and spearfishing and that sort of stuff. It's like having the meat that I sourced or we sourced or whatever, and having it. I got it myself, and I can share it with the people and I enjoy, and I can tell you the story about that horse jack.
Name dropping.
I can tell you the story about like that fish and the scenario behind it, and where that meat came from, and I can look after that animal. Like it can serve me well in life as it did in death, type thing. Like it dying like is.
Well, dude, we literally. I got home. I can't remember what day it was. Woke up, like shot that deer, worked into the night, hanging it all, doing all that sort of stuff. Woke up early in the morning, packed it all out. Like, not packed it all out, but like put it in eskies and stuff that I had prepared with ice in them for the 3 days that I was out there. Basically did all that and then shot home and basically prepared fucking probably over 100 kilograms of meat.
A lot of meat. And
cryovac it all, minced it all, have ribs, backstrap, like basically like put everything into slow cut, like dog cubed bones. Sort of stuff. There's dog bones, there's mince, there's all these different things that there was easily over 100 kilos of like processed clean meat without bone or without sinew, without anything, ready to go. And like it's hard because normally I love cooking certain meats with bone in it, but just for the practicality of like flat packing stuff and getting as much meat in a freezer as possible, I decided to like debone everything. But like that process of doing that was so rewarding. And like, you grab some meat. We literally ate that for bolognese tonight. Like, it's just like, there's not that many things in life where you can like, it's like you go and enjoy something and do something. And then when you're not doing it, you're still reaping the rewards and really enjoying it.
It's a disservice not to.
Oh, I don't see the picture. Like I've got close mates that go hunting and like they're not like driven to retrieve meat.
It's fucking delicious though, like deer. Like
I just feel
delicious.
Like ethically there's no reason why you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Even if you don't eat venison, for example, there's no reason why you shouldn't and give that to someone
else that does.
Because I just relate it to my analogy. I'm shit at analogies, as you know. And I get a lot of slack for it from people. But I just try and simplify it in my head to a point where like you can't argue with the simplicity of it. And say you've got a pie, is a full you want to eat a pie, is a full pie not better than 3/4 of the pie? And for a simple
I love your analogies.
Simple sort of thing that you can do is break it down for 20-30 minutes and butcher it and take the guts out, and even if even if it at start, it's like, it comes back to like, it's so fucking basic, and the premise of it all is like, I feel fat and lazy and unmotivated with my life. I would rather sit at home, watch TV, and eat a tub of ice cream or a drumstick. How do you go for a run every night? You know what I do, fucking Larry, is I literally start by putting on my runners and getting out of the house.
Yeah.
Just fucking do that. Literally just gut the animal, or don't gut the animal, but take the back straps. Can you do that for me, Larry?
Yeah.
You can't fucking... I'm not expecting you to carry out a fucking 100-kilo chital deer on your back because you haven't fucking been carrying out meat ever. Just start by watching videos on YouTube how to remove back straps, because I guarantee you they're probably the best cut of meat. They're the easiest to retrieve. Just practice that. Then from there you go, okay, how am I going to fucking disarticulate the femoral and acetabular head to get rid of the back legs and take them home? And then you do that, and that's like a quarter of the animal's weight basically, and probably the most yielding meat on an animal. And then you got the back straps and back legs, and then you go, fuck, I go and pay stupid amounts of money to eat pork ribs at a fucking restaurant, ribs and rumps or whatever. How good would it be if I could just fucking source my own ribs and not be a lazy prick and spend 5 minutes removing two-sided ribs? Oh, that's right. I put my fucking runners on, I went for a walk, and now tomorrow I'm going for a walk again a bit further. And the next day I'm going to go for a fucking jog walk and do interval training. And then in fucking 6 months' time, I'm going to be running 5Ks like I want to.
Yeah.
It starts with just fucking doing it. Stop being that lazy prick that fucking whinges about everything and do it. Stop saying like, oh no, I don't fucking eat venison. Venison's shit. And then go and fucking eat steak and put tomato sauce on it like a fucking weirdo. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's true though.
Sorry, I'm getting off topic.
No, it's true though.
I get animated about it because people fucking like to be lazy and then whinge about things.
People play the victim card.
And then say, oh, we get such a bad rap as hunters when they fucking shoot things and cut their heads off. It's like, shoot things, cut their heads off if that's what you really want. As long as you do it ethically and legally, I don't care, because at the end of the day, they're a feral animal, but it doesn't justify wasting X amount of meat. Really good. Man, it is fucking delicious. It's like... Fair enough. Be safe. Like, learn, again, if you're going to go and remove meat from an animal, don't like learn about the anatomy and like where lymph nodes are.
Go
and if
busting
an animal's
piss bag and all that sort of shit.
like if an animal's scrawny and runty and obviously doing really bad, it's like maybe question if you're going to take everything off it. You might just take things that look great or aren't affected or aren't near XYZ, and like you just... Be smart about it. Be safe about it, because at the end of the day, it's not worth getting sick to eat a certain animal.
Yeah.
But you can't just be like, oh, no, I wasn't sure about it for every single animal that you shoot.
Yeah.
Like, that again, that's ignorance and being lazy. Like, it's very easy to learn what looks normal on an animal, what cuts you can do, what equipment. Like, you can literally take... If it's, again, about, oh, I only take a fucking light fanny pack when I go hunting, or a camelback, and that's it. You can put a scalpel and 10 blades in a 0.1 kilo bag and a few pillowcases, and then take that out. Like, nothing's too hard. Man. It's bullshit, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, like, let's use chital for an example. If you're going to spend that effort, and if you're good enough to shoot a chital, and you're going to go there and not take anything off it, like you've spent all that time stalking and shooting and everything like that, and then you're just going to go there and take a fucking selfie with it and walk away, like the fuck, man. And that they're the kind of people I don't understand.
But it's like, what's hard is that there's nothing wrong with it legally or anything like that. It's just an own accountability of, hey, I acknowledge that it's ticking these boxes for me, but like, it's hard because, again, for us, it's important to take the meat and try and do something to the best of our abilities and full circle. And if someone said to me like, hey, like, your broadheads, I know they're killing the deer, but they could be sharpened this way a little bit better, I'd be like, thank you so much, Joe Blow, for fucking showing me that. Yeah. I really appreciate that, because that's going to add that 1% to my whole outlook on that hunting. If it means more secure kills, quicker kills, better blood trails, 100% I'm down to do it. There'll be people that go, oh no, like my fucking half sharp broadheads work. That's fine. They're fine. Like I do it. I shoot 7 out of 10 die quickly. 3, I kind of half lose the blood trail, but it's good enough odds for me. Like, people are just, unfortunately, like, it's yeah. If there's anything, but again, it comes down to, like, I don't know, I don't want to say passionate, because, like, I don't want to say I'm more passionate than someone that doesn't take meat out or something, but it's just and maybe it is bad where it comes back to the image of it in terms of pleasing non-hunters and pleasing, it's easier to be like, yeah, I hunt and I also take meat, but I've always done that, so it's easy for me to say that. Whereas if someone has only ever hunted for the thrill of hunting things and killing things because they're pests and they eat their crops, it might be hard for them, and they genuinely go, nah, fuck venison, it's shit, I want beef. But it's a shit argument, it's invalid. Like, my ex-partner literally was from an MSA graded, like, they sent their beef, like Angus cross Charolais, Boss Taurus breed beef, to the EU market in Europe. Like, had really, really high credential, like, won awards in Australia for their beef, and she ate venison and was fucking licking her lips like, this is amazing. What the hell? Yeah. So it's fucking a crock of shit when people say, oh no, venison's fucking shit. Yeah. Do. Stupid fucking weird voice.
I think...
dickheads, don't be that guy.
No, definitely don't be that guy. And don't be, just because it's feral, you can just justify leaving it there to rot. Yeah. Either. Pigs, maybe... Yeah, but
pigs, like, unless it's perfect conditions, they can carry diseases and parasites. Yeah, unless you know what you're doing, don't. There's a bigger risk. Whereas deer, like, there's fuck all risks in terms of, like, diseases, cleanliness of meat, ease of meat.
And
they're in good body condition score all the time because they just do well.
And they do what they need to.
Pigs eat carcasses, deer don't. Like, there's so many differentials in that. Like, I wouldn't say to someone that's never eaten game meat, go and start shooting fucking pigs and eating it. I'd say start with deer, start with things that you can control, learn about how to do it, and then work out, choose which pigs you're going to shoot and eat. Like, because it is worth it. We do it. Yeah. But a bit of insight, and I'd learn about, you know, what potential risks and hazards and things there are out there. Yeah. But again, it's just, if you're passionate about it, add a bit of education behind yourself and, like, add some strings to your bow in a sense and, like, learn.
That's a good one. You're the king of analogies.
Just hustling and grinding.
Oh, fuck.
Flow state.
Fuck, a few more questions to get through, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be short. We'll do some short answers.
Yeah, we've been going...
Right, I'm going to say a word. You're going to say the first answer.
3 hours. Oh, fuck, this is a bad game.
Jacks.
Horse.
Tomorrow.
Diving.
Oh. Fuck yeah. That's all I needed.
Yeah, fair chance of a sneaky inshore island dive tomorrow, I reckon. Utilising organs and offal in game meats. Experience and info. Nothing from me. I got no fucking idea.
Heart is probably one of my favourite cuts of meat. Yeah.
Yep.
Heart, super easy. You obviously have to eviscerate the animal, like take its guts out through an incision along the belly, basically, like turn it onto their back. Generally, I'll make, like, little nicks in the skin through, like, the muscle layers, and then you'll get to, like, the peritoneum it's like basically
science word.
You get to this layer that's, like, a little bit shiny, and you can sort of, it's almost see-through-ish where you, like, see through into the guts. As soon as I get to that layer, I'll put 2 fingers inside and, like, lift it up, and then use, if it's a knife, like, I'm doing it here with my fingers because you can't see, but, like, put your fingers in the little hole, lift it up, if you imagine, and then run your knife with the blade facing up, like away from the guts, and you run your fingers so your fingers are actually closest to the guts, so you're not going to spill anything, and you run that up towards, like, the diaphragm, I guess, or the throat, like the head region from the...
Yeah, we used to do that with pigs, like, but we used to turn... Is that same principle, but put the knife in, nick, like, cut the pizzle out, put your hand in, turn the knife outwards, like, point it outwards. Yeah. And so the butt of the knife was inside the belly, and you fist was inside basically, and just push down
Yeah.
and run it in that way.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
similar.
there's so many different variations. But basically, you can do that. You can eat liver. Again, it's got meant to be super like nutritious, lots of minerals and stuff. The taste is pretty average, to be honest. Unless you can like.
You ever done
again,
like lamb fry with it or anything?
You can do like I've had liver where I do it with like mushrooms as like a stew and stuff, and like mushroom gravy. It's alright. It's not my go-to personally. Like there's so much else of the deer that I take and actually enjoy. Where for me, wasting a liver as such isn't the end deal. I take the heart now because it's such like the heart is probably the first thing I eat on deer. It used to be the back straps, whereas now I let them rest. I can freeze them. They freeze
Eat the
well.
heart raw?
No, I eat it. There's heaps of different variations. Basically, they get like a calcified sort of, it's called like pericardium. They get like a layer around the heart.
Yep.
Basically, you want to just trim that. You want to cut it into like slivers or open it up, basically, so that you can like reflect it and open it. It ends up being like a big steak.
Yeah.
And you cut like the top of it off, which has got all the valves and stuff. You throw that away. You take out any blood that may be in there and congealed. Like you literally could just like turn it out, tap it, and the blood will fall out. Basically, it's like jelly. I don't wash it. I use just normally a paper towel, like pat the walls dry, and then again I'll cut it and open it so that it's like a pamphlet in front of me. Basically, like rather than being round, I'll cut one side so that you can open it.
Yep.
And then once it's all exposed in front of me, that you'll see there's like little valves and things, like stringy bits. I normally just trim them out very superficially, cut them out, and then you end up with a clean, muscular, steak-looking thing. And then from there, you can either cube it, cut it into long slivers, cook it as a big fat, steak.
Yeah.
Or you could stuff it if you really wanted to. I love doing heart with like capsicum, chili, onion, what else? Like Moroccan spice is fucking deadly. And then just having that, like just picking at it in a pan.
Fuck yeah.
Super quick and easy. You don't have to cook it long. You literally can't fuck hard up. Like you can cook it well done in the sense that you can't cook a steak well done.
Yeah,
Like in my opinion, sorry, I eat medium rare. So, but heart, like you can overcook it and it's still fine. It's
decent.
just got like a weird. People, I don't know. Everyone will describe it differently, basically. But yeah, long story short, heart is delicious. We've eaten tongue. You've eaten tongue with us from that cow that James shot, or heifer that James shot, scrub bull. What else? Personally, don't eat kidneys or anything like that. There's fat in the abdomen, the greater omentum, which is like a fatty covering, which goes as soon as you like do that ventral incision, as I said, when the deer's laying on their back and you cut through the belly, one of the first things you'll see is like this glistening white fat that wraps around like the stomach and the intestines and everything. You can actually like pull that out and remove it and basically just tear it off the organs where it's attached. And that's like super great source of fat. You can mix that in with your mince. It's like the only fat basically on deer that isn't tallow-like and isn't shitty like to eat.
Slimy, greasy,
like waxy almost, like candle wax. So that's great. That's probably it mainly for the offal that I can think of, to be honest. Tongue, you just basically boil, chuck it in ice water where there's like a rind. You remove that rind with once in
peel
the
that shit off
it's
it.
sort of, you can YouTube most of this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't
Same
mind
as liver. You can eat liver for sure.
Yeah.
Kidney you could probably eat.
Corn tongue's not bad.
Yeah.
Like pickle or whatever. Corn or whatever
You can do like pates and stuff. Liver, James froze it, cooked and froze the whole heap and was eating like little capsule sort of things every day for a while. Tasted like shit, but benefits health-wise was meant to be pretty good. But whether you want to do it, it's up to you.
Biggest hunting disappointment or missed opportunity?
Probably New Zealand. There was a trip there where my bow like did all this training for months and months and months, like was fit, had all the gear, was ready, and then slipped and fell, and my sight basically like broke, and my sight pretty much broke, and so did my my rest, which holds the arrow.
Oh.
So I was pretty much screwed. But fortunately with that, James brought his bow too, so I just videoed James.
Yeah.
And that's where James and I personally aren't selfish in terms of
No.
hunting at all. Like if you shot something, I would not care. If I videoed for a year, I wouldn't care. Like I've shot enough in my life where I could never hunt again and be pretty happy. I enjoy videoing, and yeah, that was probably the biggest disappointment. But to be honest, disappointment also has been just not hunting as much as I used to. I used to just do it every and like, yeah, actually one of the biggest things is just with uni, not working when I guide and stuff, which then funds me for a lot of the year, but not having the funds to work regularly to then pay to spend money on fuel, and go hunting and do because I'd go hunting every weekend if I had time and funds, whereas the biggest regret of uni was having the time on some weekends but not having funds. Yeah. Like not being like, fuck, can I buy shopping next week or am I going hunting? Like, and fortunately, like through diving and hunting, I didn't buy red meat or fish, but that was probably a regret, is like just, do I have the luxury of going hunting, and what if I fuck my car? I'm not going to be able to pay for it to get serviced and I can't get around. Like that sort of monetary stress was probably a bit of a regret, but hunting wise, I haven't had too many, to be honest. Like, because it's just I say it a lot. It's like a bit of a motto between James and I, but appreciate the little things, and then it's a good time regardless, sort of. Yeah, so. I agree with that. All the birds and shit. Yeah, bees absolutely. And fucking that sounds terrible, but like it's legit. Yeah. Just taking. But you slow down to look at something, and then suddenly a stag walks past that you might have walked past. It's good vibes. It's like karma almost. It's fucking weird, man. I tell you what, like that velvet stag that I was saying, the half-grown fella from this last trip. I stopped, watched him, was sitting there glassing, looking in for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, that was fucking cool. I could have literally gone, I can't shoot him. I'm gonna fucking scare him. Yeah. And say I had have scared him and not cared, and he ran over the ridge. Literally the next ridge, as I said, was where the stag that I shot was. Yeah. But I watched him, went, okay, cool, there's no other deer here, dropped down the ridge, walked around, did a bigger loop to left him alone, and went over the next rise, and that's where the stag was. So it's just little shit like that. Do the simple things right. Just slow down, appreciate fucking a kangaroo in front of you. You don't have to always scare it. Goes back to that cow. You don't have to always scare the cow that's fucking looking at you. Just let her walk off on her own accord, and you might fucking see something else walk in from stage left. I laughed so hard when that cow deliberately picked the line between you and the deer. Yeah, she was a bitch. It was so good. Hungry hunter, can they show more process? Butchering, prep of game meat, start to finish. Yeah, James and I talked about it a lot. We're going to do, I think, to be honest, there's no real hiding it, but Meat Eater is so successful with what they do, and we'll obviously have our own flair with it, but I think our strength is that we're good hunters and okay videoers. We're not chefs. We know how to cook. We cook good quality meals, but we probably fell into the trap of trying to like be a bit too tutorial based with our Hungry Hunter series, and to be honest, to be fair, it got great reviews by everyone that watched it, but the audience wasn't massive, whereas our hunting films get a lot more audience, and if we were lucky enough to shoot something, document that, maybe documenting a bit more of the butchering process and tips and tricks on what we do for how to butcher a heart, for example, like that offal chat we just had before, how to do that and video that and portray that in an easy, clean way, and then cook it might be more rewarding for everyone as like a whole process-based start of the hunt to end of the hunt, then processing meat at home. So I think that's probably what we're going to more look into, or more like, especially on the diving and fishing front, like catch something that very day, cook it that very day in that area, or same as hunting. Shoot a deer, butcher it, cook it, rather than in the kitchen where it's legit, like in the sense that it's like what we've caught or hunted and stuff like that, but it is a bit more like focused on what we've sort of agreed as like, I think they're good, they're rewarding. People go, oh cool, that's a cool way to cook that fish, but it's something that they could easily just go on Google. That's not like Jamie Oliver might do it or something like that, and we're not Jamie Oliver, we're not like that, we're good at hunting, which is what makes us.
So you intend to like showcase the process.
So it's been noted, I guess. Thanks.
Want more discussion on game meat disease info, etc. Eat pigs, get lepto.
Brucellosis is a big one. Parasites with pigs, generally if you freeze it for a couple of weeks, it's normally pretty good. Again, like I have to we're going to set up a website for Twin Elements in the next few weeks. Like this over the next few weeks, I guess, into the new year, where we'll have to start like a game meat preparation tab and just have some info sheets on how to prepare pork and how to do that. Because generally with
pretty much pork's the only one that's fucked.
Yeah, like deer and stuff can get hydatid cysts, but generally they're quite grossly visible. Like you can see them in the flesh. But cattle can get hydatid cysts, so it's just biggest thing with all that sort of stuff is if you have any doubts, throw it out. Check lymph nodes. Just watch YouTube videos. Like, where is a mesenteric lymph node? Where is, like certain lymph nodes throughout the body, there's hundreds of them basically. If they're enlarged or odd, or you cut it and it looks pussy or something, you go, okay, where is this draining from? There's obviously an infection or something there. If there's bruising or anything weird, if the animal was showing weird signs when you shot it, don't eat it. Just don't take the chance, I guess. Or cook it well, cook it beyond doubt, especially with pork. Know like your values.
Overcooked motherfucker.
Yeah, but it's like it's like anything. Just be. The biggest thing is if you're going to do it, go and research it. Unfortunately, I can't, give you values and stuff at the moment because it's probably close to midnight. But I'm
3.5 hours almost. We've been cranking.
It's been good. It's a good chat.
It has.
But I feel like we would endeavour to put like an information little package out there or something about it. But if in doubt, just research it beforehand. Pork's the main one.
Yeah, filthy bastards. Drawing any similarities from bow hunting to spearfishing, animal behaviours, water versus land, etc.
Yeah, it's cool. I love diving. I'm really, really, really liking it. There's massive similarities. Again, being calm, not trying to rush the process. Don't read animal cues. You dive down on the bommy. You're trying not to scare the batfish because if they go like underwater, that's your butcher bird letting out an alarm call on land, which means that your trout or your red emperor or your whatever is going, what the fuck's the batfish reacting to? I'm going to leave. Understanding flight zones, understanding animals like tendencies to like spangled emperor, like sandy sort of areas in lagoons on the edge of reef areas. And they're sort of inquisitive where you might not even be able to see them, but say you saw 5 cruise past 5 minutes ago, there's a fair chance that if you dive, get under a bit of a bommy and look back out onto the sandy flats,
they'll come back and slash
and hold your breath for a long time without moving, or you do a bit of a scratch and a bit of a they might cruise by or whatever. It's like, there's just certain things, like generally with a trout, if you dive away from it, come back around, they're going to come out of their bommy towards you. They'll give you a quartering on frontal shot for a certain period of time and then they're just going to boof off and they're gone. Yeah. Like, it's all just spend time, work out why you're seeing what you're seeing. Don't, again, like you can go in the fucking, I'm the type of person that I'll go diving, have 5 shots and shoot 5 fish. Yeah. I'm not shooting from, like I try and get level with the animal fish I'm shooting at.
Take the shots that you know.
I shoot it through the head, eye, gill plate where it's a high percentage shot, like whatever it is. And I'm not assuming that I know everything, but I try and dive to my limits, I guess, with shooting, but push myself each time where I get better breath holds and and practice. No, I'm not great with diving gear, but I'm lucky I've got a mate, Ben Rennie, who does a lot for me. Yeah, they would be the main things. But yeah, it is very comparable. I think that's probably why I've partly had a bit of success with diving. But yeah, watch videos about fish ID, because there's so many different fish that you can target that I had no idea about until my mate's like, oh, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? And the biggest thing is like, be safe, because obviously dive buddies are very, very, very important.
Even in sub 10 metres, it's dangerous.
Oh, for sure. And you can shoot a fish fucking next time and you can't bring your mate back.
100%. Even though, like, on that too, the diversity of stuff you can shoot, Mark LeBroy, pretty well-known / famous chef in Australia, recommended those surgeon fish, those black surgeon fish with the white collar on their tails.
Last time.
And they're fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
He reckons they're absolutely delicious. Potentially going to knock one off next time. I don't know what the take is on. I need to look it up.
Yeah, that's why I didn't shoot one.
Yeah.
But it was big.
I'm sure it'd be right. I'm sure it'd be like, it'd be somewhere. But yeah, I'm pretty keen to have a crack on one of them. I feel like they'd be dirty, slimy bastards, but they look slimy. Speaking of Ben Rennie, sleeping on stalks, crucial to success or overrated in your experience?
Overrated, because we didn't see anything that trip.
Yeah.
Because someone was sleeping with their eyes shut for 90% of the time. I've never seen someone so fucking tired sleep so much and not come back awake. Like, it was like sleep. The more he slept, the more he died. Ben, I'm disappointed.
He's a tired boy. It's fucking funny.
He had 3 minutes without his sunglasses. He was fucked.
He had the reddest eyes, man.
Terrible. It looked like he'd
hectic.
been on a 6-week bender.
Yeah, we killed him. He died. He died. Poor Benjamin.
Cutie little Ben. He made a banger of a reel from that trip.
He did, actually. It was a fucking little heater. It was a little heater. He's one of the Flowset OGs.
Really bring him like a little inflatable pillow on the next trip. Or a little baby carrier that I put instead of bino harness on my chest.
Baby
it's like
carrier.
A baby carrier for Ben, so he sleeps well.
Well, he fell in love and then left us and moved to Mackay. Scared of his missus. Like someone else I know. On that note, let's wrap this fucking thing up. That's a solid session. That's how long?
We fucked it by doing stupid combo.
No, it was good. It rounds out 3.5 hours bang on. I'm probably going to do it all in one bloody session too, I reckon.